Hey, Neil Patterson here. For only $5 a month, you can be supporting your boy, me. If you enjoy my stupid videos, if you enjoy my little comedy skits, if you enjoy my podcast, this is the best way. For only $5 a month. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Neil P. Neil P. Thank you in advance for getting me through 2021 and beyond. Hey, what's up? I know last week I said that we were going to no longer be doing long podcasts, but you know what? I fucking lied. This podcast is long, but it also is a very special podcast because it features Mr. Nick LaFond from the band Mathematicians. And meeting the band Mathematicians changed my life, because if we didn't meet this band, then I would have never started touring. And like I said, it was kind of a 15-year domino effect. I say it in the episode where we meet the band, we're inspired, and then my life changed. Also, very special episode because we have guest hosts. This is the first time I'm expanding the production of this whole thing. I have Ron with me in this room, and then Harry Bob is on a Zoom call with Nick LaFond, who is out in LA. This is a good one. This episode is a step in the right direction. I got another camera, and I spent a lot of time doing this shit. So if you enjoy this show, you should support it on Patreon. I'm not saying you have to, because I'm going to continue making this shit no matter what, but Patreon, it's a thing. So the only money I'm making off this podcast is from Patreon. So please consider being a patron. For only $5 a month, you will be privy to knowing that you're helping a small content creator survive. And that's me. I'm a small content creator. So I'm not going to blab much more. Let's get into it. We have Nick LaFond of Mathematicians, Harry Bob, and fucking Ron. SUPcast number 74. Let's go. Yeah.
Dude, Queensryche rules. Yo.
Oh, this is so cool. I got to do more in-person podcasts, dude, now that I have this other camera. Look at this shit. Boom,
Look at that.
Boom. So hey, this is SUPcast, episode number 74. My name is Neil Patterson. I'm here with Ron. And we're about to talk...
Joe Cobra, you mean?
Yeah, I'm here with Joe Cobra.
Sup, Joe Cobra.
And we're about to embark on a Zoom call with Rob Bates and Nicholas LaFond, a.k.a. Pete Pythagoras from the band Mathematicians, who we toured with back in the day. So it's a bro down. Ron, how long can you stay?
I don't know. What time is it? I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes or so.
Okay, Ron's going to stay for a bit.
Still got a 30-minute drive.
Ron's got a 30-minute drive.
Or 48 minutes if I choose to not take the highways.
Yeah, that's long, dude.
That's long.
Let me...
Half of it is Woodward, though. So I guess I'd just be dreaming and cruising.
It's a dream in a cruise, and a cruise in a dream.
It's fucking garbage is what it is. For a state that has a bunch of recreational marijuana taxes, none of the roads are getting fucked with where they need them.
Where's that money going?
I don't know. Joe Cobra has no idea. He wish he did.
Where's that money going? Where's all that tax dollars going, dude?
Probably to buy more weed. Everybody be like, yo, let's get some more weed, man.
Yeah.
Now, I drove through Livonia the other day on 7 Mile, and it was like a fucking dirt road. Unbelievable.
What, because it's all torn up?
Oh, after the warm-ups and the cool-down, so many, it just gigantic holes. I hit a pothole so big it broke my fucking turn signal. The bulb, I had to take it in. Took it to Chris over there, Day Auto over there, and Walled Lake over there.
That guy saved my life once.
He's the best, man.
I thought that truck was going to explode. I was on the highway and the transmission went out.
Yep.
It would just rev, but it wouldn't switch gears. Scary.
Fuck those trucks.
Yeah. Is that truck still part of the fleet, dude?
I don't know. I don't know if it was the one that lady just totaled when she hit me, or if
Yeah, you got in a wreck, huh? How long ago was this?
2 weeks.
You okay?
Yeah, my body is a little sore, but it's always sore.
It's weird because you're behind me, but I'm like looking at you through the camera.
It's like a mirror, like in a fancy art movie.
It is.
Cinema.
Here, Rob entered the chat. Let's admit him. Okay, cool. All right. This is the first time I've done a remote podcast with this many people. Usually it's just me and another human being, but we have Rob Bates here. We have Ron. And then we have Nick LaFond of the Mathematicians.
Hey-o.
And we met in the year 2005, I believe.
2005 when I met you. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I met Rob in 2004.
And you were
we met with like my band before DTV.
Right turn? Was it? No way. Was it right? No. What was that?
Bottle Fight.
Bottle Fight the World. Yeah.
Bottle Fight the World. And and that was in Livingston County. How do you remember how, of all places, you picked in Michigan, Livingston County to play?
Well, it was actually because we did our first little mini tour and we played the network of weird venues in upstate New York, the Rice Mountains thing.
Yeah.
And they were talking about you guys, and then we saw you were touring, and I think I don't remember, was the first show that Rockbox show, or was it like a rec center show or something?
It was the Rockbox was the introduction.
That was completely inspired by that trip because when we played in upstate New York, like they had all these venues and all these weird spots, and they had one called the Den of Doom, which was basically the Rockbox type thing. Yeah. We stole it from them. And then they were talking up the Mathematicians, all the kids we played with and stayed with out there. And then you guys were actually traveling, so when we saw you were coming through, I think we invited you to play one of those shows, and then just kind of kept jamming from there.
Did you have a BYOFL
book your own fucker? Yeah. I don't know if we had one for that or not. I know we definitely used it for booking everything from there. Yeah.
Okay, real quick, what is a Rockbox, Rob?
So when we played all these shows in upstate New York, like that Den of Doom was just like a shed that was probably 12 by 12 or something, and you packed like 20 to maybe 30 people in there with the band. And it was just amazing. So when we did the Rockbox, my neighbors, when I was growing up, had a shed that like fit the bill. It was exactly what that was, and they weren't using it because they just built a bigger pole barn. So we found a bunch of old carpet, like stapled it to the ceiling, and then carpeted all the walls, and then we hung a PA like from each corner of the ceiling, so it was out of the way, and then all the PA was in like the little rafters. And then we found some like weird lighting rig where it was like a power strip with light switches on each plug, and then we rigged up like Home Depot lights to the back. And so in this tiny little 11 by 11 shed, we had like a full band backline with like room for maybe 20 people tops. And like everyone would be dancing like crazy, and then the whole crowd would fall over, the doors would just bust wide open. But then it was always you always had to close the doors, because if they were open, it completely ruined the vibe of it. It's like if you couldn't see the outside, so everyone would like make an effort to try to close the doors and get everybody packed in there as close as it was so fun.
Rad.
Yeah.
So I think you guys needed like a Thursday night or something, and it made sense to do that for that. It was like a weeknight show, I think.
Yeah.
So it's funny because normally there's people on the edge of the pit that are trying to monitor the pit, but the people on the edge of the pit at a Rockbox show were trying to keep the fucking door closed.
Yeah.
So you were saying that the Den of Doom that you played at in upstate New York on Bottle Fight the World's tour is what inspired the Rockbox?
Yeah, because they did one in that venue, and then I think they had like an attic. I don't know. Do you know more about what their situation was? I barely remember it, but
they had a few. I mean, we played a chicken coop once.
We did that one time too.
We played a wood pile. There was just like seasoning wood, and it was just like, okay, this is the stage, and you're like, all right, I'll try not to get a splinter on this. It was anyway. And then they had a really good one that we played with. The first time we played with Shell Shag. I don't know if you guys ever got to see them. They're still kicking it out in well, they were in SF, now they're in New York, Brooklyn or something, but really cool 2-piece band. Shell Shag, look them up. And we played with them, and they had like a barn. I guess it was like a garage, like a tall bay door kind of garage, and on top there was just, unfinished, what a lot of people would probably turn into an apartment or something like that, or an office. It was just like this wide open barn warehouse kind of thing, clean and new, like no animal shit or anything like that. But it was like just, plywood floor, beams exposed, all that. And it had power, and you could fit probably like 100 kids up there if you did it rockbox style. And it was second story, so there was no escape, unless you went out the window, which was behind the band usually. So, you'd have to really get going to make it past there. But
have you seen that video of the house collapsing during a house party?
No.
It's like a viral video right now.
I felt like it almost happened.
Like somebody's grandpa was sleeping in another room, and they show him sleep, and they open the door, and then it turns around, and there's like 100 kids packed into a living room, and then the whole floor collapses, and they all fall into the basement.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Like, I'm surprised we'd never had something like that happen with all these weird DIY spaces.
I know. I always thought that was going to happen. Like, there were several times. Did anybody get hurt from that, or was it just
I don't know. I just saw the video and moved on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We were in Iowa City one night in this basement, and it was about 1,000 people. It felt like it was probably like 30, but it was in this basement with like, with like a heater and like duct work and everything. And there were gas pipes. And I remember seeing kids, like a couple really young kids, like going sloth up the gas pipes. And there were kids smoking in there too, of course. And I was just like,
that's bad.
Holy shit, this is a fireball, dude. We have to get out of here now. But we ended up playing a show. Nobody was seriously injured except for the kid who kept trying to grab the drummer's cymbals and got a good taste in like paradiddle hand job, Remember, Albert Garrhythm would definitely not be one you'd want to have drumming on your hand.
Oh yeah, for sure. That dude hit hard.
Yeah.
That dude's intense.
Yeah.
So already off the bat, the Mathematicians unknowingly inspired a Rockbox thing, or a venue, at least in the Mathematicians area. And then next
Race
thing,
Mountain, more so.
Okay, then the next thing Mathematicians know is they're playing in the Rockbox. Was that the first time y'all came to Livingston County?
That was our first time in Michigan, actually. It was only our second tour.
Okay.
And so the first one we did focused a little bit more on like Northern California and the Northwest, where I had lived for a little while. So there was some contacts trying to use there and everything. And then we meandered our way through the Midwest, hit what we could, and we didn't know anybody out there. We knew one girl who was friends with our drummer's brother, who was on like a fish live show trading and like Ween. They found through like the Ween live show trading network back when, Napster was still like illegal or whatever. And
all the internet is the best.
I know. It's constantly off limits, but exactly where you want to be most of the time with that. But she was friends with him and lived in Lincoln, Nebraska, and hooked us up with a dude who was booking shows out there. R.I.P. Chef Mikey V. And then like it was just Lincoln became one of those spots that always went off for us too, and just through that weird, completely, I guess it's like unrelated but related. It was like music related, but not anything related to us going on tour or anybody we knew who was in a band going on tour. It was like, I like to trade shows, and then I trade shows, and then Janelle turned out to be this rock and roll, a hellion basically. She was so cool, and like every night, her roommates probably hated her because every night of the week she would have the band who she just saw downtown come back and stay at the house, and they'd just be partying till like 2-3 in the morning or whatever. I don't know how you could do that as a lifestyle. Even back then I was like, she does this every night, dude, every night,
Right.
Like Tuesday, she's like, but, and then, made breakfast for everybody the next day. It was really cool.
Those are the best. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you run into a lot of awesome people like that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put you up, do food.
Yeah, man.
So
Midwest was always good for that. I thought probably the best was the Midwest was always the most hospitable place we ever played on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say other places weren't, but by and large, you knew if you were in the general grain or Rust Belt area, you're going to have a good show. There'll be people there most likely, and you're going to have fun with the people that, put on the show or played with you or whatever afterwards, for sure.
We're going to party.
Yeah.
We partied. So man, what year did the band start? And because I want to get into how y'all meeting the band Mathematicians inspired Downtown Brown to do our thing and start the touring thing. Because I remember I was always I don't know if the word jealous is the word I'm looking for, but I would see what y'all were doing and want to make the plunge. And Rob was always like, dude, like, what are we doing? We're just playing regional shows. Like, let's do big tours. Let's tour like the Mathematicians. And I had this job as a carpet salesman. And I was holding on to this job because it had benefits and I was like making a decent wage, but I was fucking miserable. Like I was so depressed. I would look at the floor of the Sam's Club I was working in and it would like move. It would like get bigger and smaller. Like I didn't realize my anxiety and my depression. I didn't know what they were back then, but I remember like watching the floor, like it was fucked up. And that's how depressed I was. I was like supremely miserable. So I remember when y'all first started coming around, we started doing shows with you guys. I remember your drummer, we were in Columbus, Ohio, and it was at Bernie's, I think. Do you remember Bernie's Bagels?
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, I want to tour like you guys. And Tim is his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Tim looked at me and with like the most serious look in his eyes. And I think he wasn't in character when he said this to me. It was
Tim.
Yeah, it was Tim. He looks at me and he goes, quit being a pussy and just fucking do it. And that shit resonated with me so hard. It wasn't too far after I quit my carpet job and I told Rob, like, let's do our first tour.
And this factor will create an unnatural setup, integers broken through destroyer behave. Give me a chalkboard now, then we'll do a begin with a less than sign in your face. In a debate moving closer to an infinity sign of an oxymoron that we call a war on hate.
And then our first tour, instead of doing the East Coast, and we talked about this on the podcast earlier, we decided let's do West Coast. First tour. 2006 was it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And and if your drummer never would have said that to me, we would have never done that. But let's back up a little bit. Mathematicians started what year, and did y'all do a stint as like a local regional band before you started doing these long tours? Because you guys hit it really hard, and that's something I always was like, wow, not only is this a great live band and they sound great on the record and it's super fun, but their work ethic, it was really noticeable. It was a tangible thing. So go into that if you don't mind.
Well. The Origins of Mathematicians.
Yes.
Basically, we had all been living out west. Ian, the keyboard player, and I had been living in I had been out in Washington State, and then I came back and was like, hey, we should go out west again. And he was like, yeah, I want to go to Portland though. So we're like, okay. So this is like 2002. We moved to Portland, and Tim was living he was in a band called Blue Water Tribe that was really dope. Kind of like a experimental dub hip hop, like sort of thing, but really cool shit. And they were living in Boulder, Colorado. So we were like stopped and saw them when we were moving out west. And we're like, oh, that's cool. And we're like, and we're like, okay, see you later. And we drove through a blizzard through like Loveland Pass, like the highest point in the continental US. And you're just like, okay, I can't see anything. There's a cliff with no guardrail, and there's about 3 feet of snow on the highway. Yeah. And we're like, Boulder could be cool if Portland doesn't work out, and like while we were driving through what could have been our death, kind of unknowingly, like you're like, we could die, but you never really think you will at that age, you know? You're like, I'm only 23 or whatever, you know, like, there's no way I'm going to die now, duh, you know, driving through a blizzard on a guardrail-less mountain, you know, and so anyway, we made it to Portland in one piece, and of course, like, couldn't find a job because Portland back then was notoriously like no way to find a job, even if you were from there and had friends who had like lumber yards and shit. It was all just unemployment central at the time anyway. So we moved like, well, I don't want to go home yet. Let's go back to Boulder, you know? And so we made our way through a few breakdowns of the van, you know, and get to Boulder. And then after several months of that, we're basically just couching the whole time. This is a long story. Feel free to edit, but
no, I want to hear it. I want to know. This is why I do this show. It's important.
Right. Well, buckle up.
Yeah, we are. We're strapped in over here, right?
Nice. Strapped in and strapped on.
We're strapped on and strapped in. Yeah.
So we're Ian and his cousin Scott, who had moved to Portland with us, and I are all couching in this house in Boulder that has way too many people at this point. But they had like, you know, they had a serious band at the time. We were just like in between bands, all three of us. And so they have the whole basement decked out, you know, really sound dead, like, you know, so they had this really tight recording sound in there. Somehow the lady across the street, who was like 80 years old and had this thick German accent, could always hear whenever anybody played any instruments there and always complained, but nobody else ever complained. I think she just had like, there were like a sewer pipe that led between both houses or something. It was just like resonating, and she'd be like, just stop the music, stop with the music. And just like leaving messages. Of course, they made it on their record. And
oh yeah, dude.
You know, you have to put like the dub effects on it and everything. But so anyways, we all at a certain point, everybody's kind of like, you know, why don't we go back to where we're from? All of us, now that we all are kind of really stoked and hot on wanting to do something. And everybody just slowly migrated back to the Northeast and was like, let's do something in our own neighborhood, so to speak. Whereas instead of trying to like inject ourselves into this place that, you know, like, why the fuck were we there? We didn't know anybody there mostly, you know, like, and we're just doing the same shit we could have done anywhere else. You know, it wasn't specific to that. So we're like, why don't we get around with some people we really know who have assets like recording studios and, you know, video production studios and things like that. And let's really fucking do something, you know. But so then everybody had basically left, and Tim and his girlfriend at the time and I were out on a road trip because they hadn't been to the Northwest or anything yet. Like, but before we move back to the Northeast, who knows what happens, you know, like we might just get stuck there or whatever and never do anything. So let's go out and see as much as we can. So we went out through Canada and Western United States on a road trip. And while we were in Portland, strangely enough, on a bus going to the Rose Garden, I just came up with the idea for Mathematicians in my head as something that was like fun on the side to do, you know. I'm like, let's just do this thing, you know, play really dope dance music and no guitars, and then we'll like dress up like nerdy and, you know, have these personas and just kind of, you know, that's like, let's just do that, you know, and no guitar. And I was talking just to Tim about it because I was like, we'll just do drum and bass and maybe like a sampler or a keyboard that like, you know, touch with our toe or something and just like get like, you know, really dope with it. But like also, you know, just take the piss out of it by putting on these garb, you know, and it gave it kind of a theme, you know. I was like mathematics, mathematicians, something like that, you know. So then we talked about it a little more, decided on Mathematicians being the better name. And then Tim was like, why don't we get Ian in on it? Ian had already left like a couple months before that back to the Northeast and had started a band with his cousin Scott called Pinkhurst Paparazzi Project. They're on Bandcamp. You should check them out because they're fucking awesome. I wish they never broke up, but sorry to spoil the mystique on that one. They did break up, sadly, but partially because of Mathematicians, actually, and Blue Water Tribe as well, because Ian and Tim just got so into doing what we were doing. They kind of were like, well, and the other bands just kind of were going their own ways. Different people were doing different projects, so it just worked out that way. But Mathematicians was like, I was in a position and like I wasn't in any other bands at the time, and I was really missing that, you know. So I was like, let's do this side band. I know you guys are both in cool bands and shit, but if Ian plays, he can't play guitar. He's going to only play keyboard, you know? And then, so we dropped that on him and he was like, fuck yeah, I'm doing that. You know, like, let's do that. He was still really into Pinkhurst at the time. Tim was still in the Blue Water Tribe, and when the whole thing was, I was like, it's a secret. Okay. Like, so we didn't do a lot of shows. We played together in a shared practice space for about 3-4 months with Tim's band. And, just, you know, like, yeah, we're just, I don't know what we're doing. We're just working on something. We're like mathematicians behind closed doors, you know? So I don't know what we're doing. We're just jamming, you know, and we're coming up with all these songs and getting our gear and everything, all our shit together, how we want to do it. And then we start making like these little, we played our first show was at this cafe in Lake George, New York that I used to book shows at. It was just this lady who had this huge space, ended up, and she had like a bakery there or whatever, you know? And so she had kids in school locally and was like, and I came in when I was like, can we use your space for shows, you know? Because it would be all ages, you know, it's not a bar. Mostly it's just bars there. And not many people were doing house shows. So we did our first show there. She was totally into it. Didn't really give a shit about making money. So we played, I booked shows there for about 7 or 8 months and met a bunch of, like you guys would have played there if we were still booking that. If it was still open when you guys were coming through, I totally would have had you guys on there. It was a great spot. But anyways, where the fuck was I? Were we talking about how the mathematicians come together? Is that what you?
Yeah, the first gig.
Got to your first venue or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then how did we like get active with it? So I was just like, I don't give a shit. You know, I was working at a record label out west, and it really inspired me because I saw these people who were living. It was a total indie label, K Records. I don't know if you know it. It's like just not like a huge major label by any means, but never like backed by like Sony secretly or anything like that. And it was just like watching these people do grassroots shit that was working, and like, you know, people could afford their rent every month and go on tour, and they didn't have to have really steady day jobs or any of that stuff. And I was just like, you can fucking do that, you know? Like I didn't know you could really do that unless you were already successful. I'm like, how do you become really successful? You know, obviously it's not staying in your town playing the same 3 venues all the time, because that's all I'd done up to that point. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like just to like the last band I was in before that, we were playing New York City probably like once or twice a month or something like that. And that, you know, doesn't really get you too far either. It's the same thing. You know, it's just there's more venues in the same town. But in my opinion, anyways, I was just like, let's get the fuck on the road and like see, because, you know, we got to see other people. We got to see what's going on in different places, and we've got to move it around. Like there's nothing here to only do here. You got to do here. You got to do your home, but you also got to get out and like see what other people's homes are like. And so that was just in my head, and I threw that at those two, and they were like, yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. And like, and none of us were doing it really, you know? So we just said, well, fuck it. Let's do that with this band then, you know? And that was a level of ambition in action that hadn't really existed too much in our immediate group of like our scene, if you will. There were a few bands that we knew that had gotten out, you know, on the road and like, you know, had a record deal or these things like that, but it wasn't really common where we were from. So we were just like, I don't know if it's going to work, but let's just do as much as we can ourselves. And like, because I'm like, I've seen it happen. Like people do this and it fucking works, and I don't know how, but we're going to figure it out. Like, because I don't want to do that other stupid shit. So let's, you know, rock our pants off around the world. And we only got around the country, but that was basically what we wanted to do. And we did it. And it just was like, you know, we're not rock stars. None of us bought a house, but we fucking toured the country for like 7 years or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and similarly, like I said before, like Rob and I were doing the Downtown Brown thing, and we were in a position where we were doing some regional touring, but we were hitting the same spots. And the country is the size of some continents, the United States is fucking huge. And I just remember he was trying to wear me down, simply based off of what we were watching you guys do. And there was a couple other bands that were doing it pretty hard. Rob, do you remember what those bands were besides Mathematicians, the ones that were like totally DIY that were just touring like all the time?
Well, I mean, like Gil Manter's Party Dream and like CapriciousAF was going, and SMB, what they were doing. Well, they were about where we were at, but we just had friends regionally we were meeting. But I guess what kind of got me to think the same way you did, where these people are doing it somehow, was the Chiodos brothers, because we were all in the Flint local scene, and that band evolved into Chiodos, but they were the first ones that got out of that size from like a smaller all ages group. But they were also like riding the whole screamo wave, and we're right on with the right sound and the right look and all of that. So I'm sure those doors opened a lot easier.
It helps that they were playing a
band.
They were playing a popular style of music, A, and
exactly,
B, and B, Craig Owens is easy on the eyes, so that didn't hurt them either.
But they were a local band that just blew up in Flint and then just started going. And
who was it again? I'm sorry.
Chiodos. That's what they turned into, but they were the Chiodos brothers originally, and then I think they couldn't keep the name for some reason or whatever.
Isn't that the directors of Killer?
Yeah, the puppets or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why they couldn't keep that name, is because Chiodos brothers were the puppeteers that did the Killer Clowns stuff.
So your first tour was the West Coast?
Downtown Browns was.
Yeah, wow.
We went to the Viper Room, which actually the Viper Room is now going to be luxury condominiums. There's been talks for many years about them buying the building and turning it into something else, but it's actually happening now. So the world famous Sunset Strip, butt rock capital of the world, Viper Room is now going to be luxury condominiums, and they're going to have a store on the ground level that I guess is going to be some sort of a, like you can get your Viper Room swag.
It's like CBGB's, and we played that thing with the Addicts that was right next door to that. Like was it Varvatos store or something? Yeah,
John Varvatos is where CBGB's is now in the Bowery. So come get your CBGB Viper Room swag. I remember what's funny is the last time we played the Viper Room, the dude who is managing the place and has been for like 10 years, really nice guy. I'm not throwing him under the bus here, but he definitely, as he was paying Downtown Brown, he kind of took me aside. He's like, the Viper Room is the CBGBs of the West Coast. And I was just like, yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. But anyway, okay, so where were we? So really from the jump, the Mathematicians was like a secret side project, and then it eventually became this ambitious thing that none of y'all's bands were doing, traveling like that. Not really in our scene, anyways. That's something I noticed too when Rob and I started touring. We went from being this band that just played around town to being this band that was doing all of this ambitious shit. I mean, regardless of whether or not we were fully taking advantage of it, because I was like pretty much a full-time alcoholic at that point. But I will say, and I've told people this before, like if it weren't for the Mathematicians, I would have never quit my fucking carpet job and started touring the country. And everything that happened after that followed suit because of the Mathematicians. I quit my job, started touring, and then, however many years down the line, we signed our indie record deal, met Norwood from Fishbone, yada yada. So like, it all had like a weird like 15-year domino effect. And now I'm back in Michigan and have 3 cats and I work for my girlfriend's candle company.
You also have 7 children.
I have 7 children. but anyway,
are they your children, or you just picked them up along the way?
Terrible little bastards.
Jump in the van, kid.
But okay, so Rockbox, and then after Rockbox, I think Livingston County became kind of a tour stop for Mathematicians, just based off the success of that original appearance, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, after that show, Rob was like, "You want to stay at our house?" And you know how it is on the road. You're like, "Yes." You're a nice guy and you live with your folks, and like, so we know there's not going to be like puke and pee on the couch, most likely. And if there is, well, then there'll probably be some other fun stuff there too. Then, but we decided to like Rob's like, yeah, and we're like, okay, well, let's get in the van. He's like, oh, it's right here. And we like,
yeah, we're 2 houses down.
Walk across the field to their house, like, dope. All right. And I don't think we met your folks that night, but we did meet your dad the next day. And he was super cool and was just like, yeah, and then we rapped about music because he plays, you know.
But yeah, he was always excited to have bands over. Like, and he still talks about some of the people that stayed or anything. So
yeah.
That's kind of weird of him.
And I think you introduced us to Captured by Robots actually at that time. And we were
yeah, it's probably just seen him for the first time. I was like, that's incredible. And then caught a bunch of their coming through.
So we were like, well, this is cool. And like, we stayed in touch just, you know, like back and forth. And so we're like, Rob, what's up? You know, you got anything up there? And we did like Brighton. I think that was the first time we met you was either the next day that time or it was the next time through in the spring.
Yeah, because I may have joined the band at that point. And then we played like Max Bar, I think, out in Lansing.
Yep.
And then,
we did. Oh yeah, we played that with Nice Peter, and then I think everybody stayed at our place that night. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, Nice Peter we met too. I think we played that because we had played the Opera House in that front like foyer kind of.
Oh
venue.
yeah.
I think it was the Opera House somewhere.
No, you're right.
And Howell. Is that Howell or Brighton? I don't know. They're like right.
That one was Howell.
And we played the church. The first time we met you, Neil, was we had played, and I can't remember I feel like it was like we had a day off after we played the Rock Box, and then Rob Scram was like, "Dude, go play with my buddy Neil's band." You know, like you were almost in the band, but not quite in the band yet. I think at that point, or we're like thinking about trying to try out or something like that. And there was like some church, and that was in Brighton. There was like a church or some kind of, I don't know, temple meeting place kind of thing. And we play, and you were playing there. I'm pretty sure. I remember the only thing I really remember about it is that my van had clear windows, no tints. And Ian and Tim were super worried about the gear getting stolen. So we went to the store and bought a can of spray paint. We're just spray painting my windows in the parking lot of this church, which, just caveat for anybody thinking that's a good idea. It doesn't really last for more than a couple of like weeks in any place that gets any level of precipitation. It just starts peeling off and it looks even creepier than it already looked before that. But the paint's peeling.
I was also thinking about the when you guys played in Detroit with us at that Save the Vegetables wrestling thing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You like stole the show. It was awesome. You guys killed that show.
Really? I thought that. Well,
just remember, like, I remember your set, just like running through the crowd and like, and I think that was that the first time we brought you to Detroit? Because I think that like nobody had ever seen anything like you guys before.
People still talk about that. Like
really?
People I run into still are like, yo, that band Mathematicians, like, what are they doing? Like, yeah, you definitely left an impression. Which Save the Vegetables was that, Rob?
It was the one at that like art space thing. I don't know what it was. The Detroit art thing. It was in the hood for sure.
It was 2006, right?
Probably. I'm not really sure.
I don't think we did one in 2007. I think that was the last one.
I think that was 2005 because we had this band that like I just put their record out. They're like a guy and girl singing duo, Desperately Obvious.
Oh yeah, they were out with you.
So that was like June 2005 when they came on the road with us. Yeah, because I remember Richard was the guy and he got mathed up and we were like getting body slammed by.
Oh, I remember that. Okay, that was 2000 because that was Rob's first. Yeah, that was Rob's first year in the band. He joined in January of 2005. So
yeah, it must have been then because you guys definitely played and the Minos played and I remember they had like those guys are fucking awesome. Are they still playing together at all?
Yeah, dude,
they still do shows here and there. Yeah,
amazing.
Oh, they were so good. We all loved them so much. I don't even really remember playing the show. I remember that show being so much of a show for me to watch that I was so stoked just being there that I don't even remember playing the show. I just remember we were there. And there was like wrestling and fucking mechanical bulls and like, you know, it was in like this compound, right? Like there were walls and then on the other side of the wall, it looked like some like old mansion in the bayou that had been burned down in like 1895. And
Pretty much.
And it was just like, that was the neighborhood. And then there would be like, and there'd be like a Stuckey's down the block or something like that, or like a Hardee's or whatever you guys have over there. And I was like, how the fuck is there a Hardee's? And then this ancient piece of shit right here. And we're in the middle of a city. It's like I-94 or whatever it is right over here, and it was really eye-opening because we'd never been to Detroit before really. And just being in Detroit for real was like, this is an amazing, weird place,
that definitely wasn't downtown.
No.
That's the beauty of the city is that, there's a really gentrified area in Midtown now, which is mere blocks from where what was it called? The CAD, which is...
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and it's mere blocks from that. But what's crazy is if you go mere blocks from the populated gentrified areas of Detroit, you'll get to barren wasteland where there's just like burnt down houses and there's like full fields of overgrown grass and there's feral dogs and the street lights don't work. And you can, and that's why a lot of graffiti artists come out here because there's so many places to throw up signs where you're not going to get fucked with by the cops. It definitely is different now. Like 15 years later, there's areas where, they have condos that are $2,300 for a fucking 1-bedroom type shit, and like luxury apartments, luxury condos and Quicken Loans moved into Midtown. Everything is like, there's yoga studios and like fancy barcades and whatnot. There's a Whole Foods. So it's a little different, but back
people
then,
playing kickball.
Yeah. Back then it was a little bit more rough around the edges. Like that area was right by what used to be called Cass Corridor, but that sounded a little too intense, so they changed it to Midtown. And now Midtown, I remember my ex right by the Magic Stick. She had an apartment that back in like 2003, it was $350 a month, and now in the same building, you're going to be paying a lot more. That's just what happens. But yeah,
it's happened everywhere. It's funny to hear that because like I've been in LA now for like 12 years, almost 12 years. And even in LA, which you already knew was expensive, like the shit you used to pay for a 1-bedroom here is now double for the same place, just older now. And probably hasn't been, renovated at all or upkept very well because that costs money and people don't do that. But, it's super everywhere in this country that is like so expensive compared to where it was, back when we were touring as all these bands that we're talking about,
It's weird.
And I don't see them any better. It's just there are more yoga studios and there's kickball fields where there used to be crack dealing corners. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to get your crack now?
I don't know. I don't know. I like the kickball thing. Is that
the death knell of the hood, man?
That's where you get the crack now.
That's fucking wild. Yeah, once you see a kickball field go up, it's over for any sort of illegal enterprises. Now
that's what happened in Venice, man. There was this park, Featherstone Field, and it was the spot where, if you want to rent somebody or like buy something to smoke or shoot in your veins or whatever, that's where you went. And if you wanted to get shot, then you walked by there and stared at people. You know what I mean? And like, and I remember that was like that for the first few years I lived here. And then I walked by one night and I heard all this commotion. I was like, oh shit, I wonder if there's like a rumble or something, And like, cause there would be people squaring off and shit too on two ends of this, like basically football field in the middle of the neighborhood. And I go by and then I look and there's like lights on, it's all well lit. And there's fucking guys playing kickball in uniform, like, matching t-shirts. And I was like, wait, like, what street am I on? What the fuck happened? And I can't say that it's like worse necessarily to see that as opposed to like drug deals and like gang fights and shit like that. But there's part of it that's, I think what comes with that is kind of like eroding at the fabric of our identity as a people, in this country.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's just going to be from IKEA eventually, and like everything's going to be too expensive.
Swedish meatballs.
It's like, I don't know what the fuck are we doing?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I was looking at your YouTube channel, just looking at old videos just to see what's going on. And I saw the resurrection video. I forgot how hilarious of a concept that was and how awesome that was at the time. Did you ever see that, Neil? Or do you even know what that is?
I have no idea. Can you explain it?
Do you want to explain it, Nick, or should I
I'll
just
throw a
explain
clip in the podcast.
That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
no, you go ahead, man. You can explain it. I'm sure
So,
I'll
yeah,
take
they
too long.
basically, from what I gathered, it was a Halloween show. Is that what it was? Is that why you guys are dressed up? Okay, so so apparently terrorists kidnapped the mathematicians, and then they learned all of their songs, and then while they were playing live, they were basically like in ski masks. They projected a video of the guys in costume and were torturing them during the entire set, like with jumper cables and shit like that.
So we spent the last 6 months learning all their songs. You guys are gonna dance harder and have a lot more fun, or else
They're gonna get it! They're gonna get it if you don't dance for it! Who gets it in the blue factor? We don't dance for fashion! It's falling from the SYS! We all got to fight you right now!
oh yeah, yeah, they're all there. Are they there? All right, yeah. Oh sure, bring them in. Live via satellite.
Just because they love me! Now come on, baby, it's time to get close.
And then they show them getting like rebuilt after they've been destroyed in a video. It's fucking hilarious. And just, it's crazy the amount of video production you guys had at the time with how difficult I'm sure that was to make. When you
It was
made
pre-YouTube, or it was like
Yeah.
it was like
right at the beginning.
right at the beginning of YouTube. Yeah, because I wanted to touch on also the weapons of math instruction video.
Oh yeah.
That was like cinematic art for the time, considering that in 05, a lot of the shit that went viral on YouTube was, you know, funny dog things at 360p.
Yeah.
But that was like a full production. Yeah. So on top of being ambitious touring, you guys are very ambitious visually. So let's go into that.
It was. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit. I just on top of what Rob had to say.
Well, Rob pretty nailed it pretty well as far as how it all went down, and that was a lot of fun. That was the first thing we. Oh, what? No, actually, because we were recording our first album January of 04, just a few months before the first tour. So while we were there, we were like, you know, we were doing these characters and stuff, right? So we figured wouldn't it be smart to do something more than just play a show in these outfits, you know? So we came up with these loose skit ideas while we were recording. And I don't know if they're still up. I think that they got pulled down, and I wish they were still up. If Ian or Tim are watching this, because I'm like the Luddite of the group. Like I just played the bass and sang. You know, they had computers and synths and shit, and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. You know, like, you know, and to sing, I use it loosely. But anyway, so we were like, yeah, we made these skits, and like we had made cookies earlier, you know, because why not? And like. They burned, like we forgot they were in the oven, so they got burnt like pretty bad. But I was like, "Don't throw them away. Let's do let's do a thing. Like we're gonna sketch, you know." Like, and Ian and Tim's girlfriends at the time came over, and you know we were at Tim's house actually, there, him and his girl's house. So they like acted like they were these backup singers that came over, and we were like, you know, these guys who were really gonna make something happen with this video. Anyways. Sorry, long story long, but we did these little sketch videos here and there, and then Ian would do with like we would, you know, like Tim's always camera oriented. His dad was like an editor and like made films and stuff, so he always was pretty into that. So he'd always have like a camera with us on tour, and we just get footage of the shows mostly at first, and it was just the three of us, you know, most of the time, maybe with like a roadie, G Money, if you guys remember G Money, and so we just try to get footage, and then we're like, we'll do something with this, you know, which we eventually did. But it was just like always kind of there. And then we met these kids who were from our area, who we sort of knew some of them just throughout the years before that. But they had this really cool collective group that were called the Nice Guys back then. Now they're called Ravicon Productions or Earth Day Parade, some of their film things, and they're all like doing pro stuff now. But they were, half of them were in high school or just graduated when we started doing those videos that Rob was talking about. And they were just so productive. And there's like 10, 15 kids in this thing. And they'd have a band, and they'd have like this like weird sketch show that they would do that they actually got on the local cable access channel that was like down the street from our practice space. And then they would just make these films. They have a cool movie they made called Lake Nowhere, which is like a classic slasher style movie that they put out. Ian did a lot of soundtrack with that. That was a few years ago, but they were just an amazingly talented group of kids, and they were fucking kids when they were doing it. They were like we were like our mid-20s. They were like 17. Some of them were like 16, maybe 20 years old. You know what I mean? I think the oldest one was the kid we actually knew from back in the high school days, who was like our age, but he's like the older brother, and then he had 2 younger brothers. All these guys, cousins, friends, everything. They were just doing so much cool shit, and they were basically like we conceptualized, and then they would make happen these things we wanted to do with like the weapons video and the resurrection and all that stuff. And they're down for anything, and they work their asses off. Like that weapons video, the lab, like the control center or whatever, where all the stuff is in that weird brick thing. That was, like 3 flights up with no elevator, and down like this big hall. It was an old Masonic temple where we also used to practice for a while. Ian lived there for a while, but they had this half-court gymnasium in there, which is where that took place. And it was just a hall to bring up all of this gear, all the props, all this just like random shit that was used to support the props. They didn't fall over and kill anybody. That was just like heavy shit. TV monitors, like old, just like crazy. And I'm like, where'd you guys get all of this shit too? They would have like a control console from an old, factory of some kind. I don't even know what it was. And it just had the buttons and like the thing that you could move the slider up for that cool shot where you're like,
yeah, you guys had all the weird computer gear and shit in there.
And that was them pretty much, mostly all of them. And like the nice guys or Ravicon. So that's how we got involved with that. We just had ideas, and we didn't really have the shit to make them with. And we found these people who did, and also had the know-how, and it was like a match made in heaven.
A cannibal skeleton is an act apocalyptic form function. Look at the first war, not another on assumption. Creation policy, instruct yourself. Creation policy. Facts came in, the figures added up to nothing. We brought these at the hill, call it weapons of man. Instruct yourself. Creation policy, instruct yourself. Creation policy. The facts came in, the figures added up to nothing. We put this at the hill, call it weapons of man. Instruct yourself. Creation policy. Instruct yourself. Creation policy. The facts came in, the figures added up to nothing. We put this at the hill, call it weapons of man. Instruct.
So then, and John used to come on tour. I remember he used to come on tour. He was the oldest brother in the group, and he used to like do live visuals and stuff with like an Oxygen 8 and like these video sampling programs on his laptop. So he'd be doing all this camera stuff and like effects, and it was like if you used to do the gels on the overhead projector, and they'd take acid and like, play with fuzz pedals and everything. It was like the 2.0 of that kind of thing, I don't know. I thought it was punk as fuck mostly, but like, we got laughed out of a lot of places. Like the Grog Shop was like, it's like, stop contacting me. We're never going to, that place in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Like
never played there.
I don't think we ever played there.
Gil Mantera used to play there a lot.
Who did?
Gil Mantera, the party
really?
dude. Yeah, they played there a lot.
And they wouldn't book that? Fuck. They're like, you're not punk. Like, get out of here. And we're like, we're not like trying to be punk, but we're way the fuck more punk than your stupid ass. You know what I mean? Like you only book a band and they got a mohawk in it. I'm like, how unpunk is that? You know what I mean? It was like, but I was like, all right, whatever. We don't want to play in Cleveland anyways, I guess. We'll play in Toledo. Fuck you,
Toledo. Yeah, back.
Yeah, and we met the dude from Guar, and we were all like, what? We didn't know he was from Guar. You're like, dude, yeah, that guy was from Guar, like the bass player or whatever it was.
Yeah,
and
Todd.
He was all like,
Todd Evans.
I appreciate your tunes. What's that?
Todd Evans, big Todd, lives in Toledo. Yeah, he would come out. I actually just talked to him not that long ago. I should have him on here. That would be an interesting talk.
Is that Beefcake?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's one of many beefcakes. There's many beefcakes.
He's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always super. Well, always. The one time I met him was like just a really cool guy, though. You know, like the kind of person who's not like, you know, you meet some other people who are less impressive than being a member of WAR, in my opinion, you know, but they're like lauded as something a bit maybe cooler or higher or more important in some way. And I'm always let down by that because they're just like, well, why aren't you asking more questions about how cool I am? And I'm like, I don't know. You're supposed to be asking us questions. You walked up to me, dude. You know, I'm the guy in the weird outfit who's playing a show. You're just sitting in the audience, you know, like I would love to get to know you better, but you're going to have to take me out for tea or something, you know? Like,
Did you guys have any cities that it just like took off? Like you came back the next 2 or 3 times and the draws were just nuts on it, or like a few hometown ones like that?
Madison,
it felt like a
Wisconsin.
second hometown.
Yeah, Madison. And like this, I don't know if you guys ever played with Screaming Simpson in the Ponds.
Yeah, we
I
did.
think you had us on with them before, yeah.
We played
They
with
were-
them in the band Human Wine, which was a really weird gig because it was a side project of the dude from Dresden Dolls. So they headlined, Screaming Simpson went on second, and Downtown Brown opened up, and that was back when we had lasers on our guitars.
Yeah.
And I was drinking very heavily. And so it was a very weird evening because we didn't fit at all with the motif of the gig. But we always found ourselves on gigs like that where one time we played with Deicide on accident kind of shit.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Like, that was the cool thing about guys like you and guys like us is that, you know, you're kind of in the suburbs of genres. You know what I mean? Like you're only a few blocks from this genre.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, but like none of us were like deep, heavy into any one thing. And then you'd get put on these, and sometimes it worked really well. And sometimes it just was detrimental. But like,
yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? But like even for like longevity, you're like, oh, we played with that, you know, thrashcore emo band in El Paso, and everybody hated us because there were 8 of the same band on the bill, and then us, and then we get, you know, put smack dab in the middle right before the one all the kids came to see, and they're like, get off the stage, you know, we want more screamo, and I'm like, you've had like 5 screamo bands already, there's another 3 after us. We're like the let's go out to the lobby band, you know what I mean? Get ourselves a treat, you know. But like, I don't know, man. I think it's cooler where we were, even though it's harder to maybe get gigs sometimes, or like people ask you the same thing, like, so what kind of band are you exactly? You know, and you're like, I don't know. That always gave me the opportunity to take the piss out of an interviewer or something, I thought. But like, you know, if they were like worried about not being able to confine you into some sort of specific genre or whatever. But it also got tedious when people would ask you like, what does your band sound like? And you're just like, here's 3 bands that people tell us we sound like. And it's like, you know, like that's all I'm going to give you right now.
What bands? What 3 bands? Real quick.
For math.
Yeah, give me the pitch.
The rundown was usually Beastie Boys, Talking Heads, and Devo.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was telling Ron because I used to play when Ron joined Downtown Brown. We played Math in the Van
Every day.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this shit's sweet.
Well, I just went for I go for walks now. It's part of my
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, going for it's part of my mental health practice. But I listened to Level 2 on Apple Music, and there's not a throwaway track on Level 2. Like Level 2 from front to back is really engrossing, and there's musical moments on there that they cause me to emote in a way, not just from the nostalgia, but XOXO, just the
I was gonna say that's one of like the best songs written in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's like so good.
Like regardless of the lyrical content, the phrasing and the chords and the bleep
and the swells
bloops
and everything.
and the swells, especially at the very end when it goes like that. It's powerful. It's powerful stuff. I think it caused me to feel like emotional. It's powerful. That's all.
In your balls and your gut.
Yeah. No. I mean, no.
Like real emotions.
Yeah. All jokes aside, like actually, like it made me think about like my fucking dead grandma. Emotional. Like I'm not saying I'm not saying it actually did that, but that same type of feeling. It's like that longing. you know, existential kind of why am I here? Like, I don't know, it deep, heavy, and powerful music. And coming from three guys dressed like nerds.
Sample number 33. Minus the hand to a quarter to 3. And then the remainder be our finest fee. Sample number 33. Minus the hand to a quarter to 3. And the remainder be our finest. Fractions for trademarks, pay cut, sales, rich checks, for deploying. Let's so increase the volume. Let's so increase the volume. Fractions for trademarks, pay cut, sales, rich checks, for deploying. Let's so increase the volume. Let's so increase the volume. Fractions for trademarks, pay cut, sales, rich checks, for deploying. Let's so increase the volume. Let's so increase the volume. Fractions for trademarks, pay cut, sales, rich checks, for deploying. Let's so increase the volume. Let's so increase the volume.
I think that's one of those things where, because you would show up to the show in character and you wouldn't break.
That was the best. I was going to mention that.
Yeah, you wouldn't break character the whole fucking show from the minute you pull the van up. But ultimately, there was some really great music, like beyond the gimmick, beyond the sense of humor, beyond the math lyrics. Like I don't know. I think that's the thing, is when you adopt some sort of comedic anything in this industry, it's very easy for people to pigeonhole you as, oh, this is a gimmick, this is a joke.
Right.
But when I listened to Level 2, it never felt like a gimmick or a joke to me. It was just really good music. So
Well, thanks.
yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that. It's a very heavy compliment coming from you guys, and especially because we always were like they shred way fucking harder than we ever probably will, let alone ever can at that time, for sure. And we were just blown away, and we're like, I don't know how they're that good, and always so tight, like with stops and fucking this angular stuff. And we're like, this is like turning Gang of Four on its head with, like, I don't know, like the acid sequence of a Warner Brothers cartoon. You know what I mean? It was just like, but even when you were like, you know, off your ass and shit, like back in those days, you were always, in our time playing you guys, we were always just like, how are they that fucking tight all the time and just shredding? And I'm just like, Neil's in the bag. He's in two bags almost right now. And he's fucking railing these sweep arpeggios with harmonics and shit. And I'm just like, I can't even do that like on a strong cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh shit.
laser focus. And I'm just like, you know, like, that's cool. And I mean, obviously Rob is the Thundercat too, you know, like you guys were and you always played, and you know, in all the lineups I've seen you with, you've always had really awesome people playing. Hey Ron, always people playing with you who could always, like, you know, just immaculate musicianships and plural. And we just, you know, I don't know, we were always impressed by you guys, and felt kinship because we also felt that you didn't fit in anywhere, like we didn't fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
So it was always a good time to be able to play with you because we knew we fit in together, you know?
Yeah. And those were the bands we made the most lasting relationships with. I feel like are the bands where we had, it's like strength in numbers almost. It's like if we were on a show together, it was like the number of weirdos doubled. You know, and like when we went out, we would go out around that time with bands like Foxy Shazam and our friends Screaming Mechanical Brain, and it was like there was like, it felt like there was just a gang of weirdos. It felt like we were like invincible because it's like there's so many of us, they can't kill us.
Yeah, like we were fighting each other throughout. You know, we watched the one kid get a wedgie in the locker room of school. You're like, that kid's probably my friend, and then the next one is like taking a bite out of like the bully's ear, you know, like that kid's probably one of our friends too.
Exactly.
And then like the weird kid who was like strangely, you know, I don't know, we don't need to continue with this analogy, but anyways, it was all these like different kinds of things that were super weird and just came together though. Like it, you know, it wasn't even a genre. It was just like, we like vibe, you know, as people in these weird ways where we're like, I think a lot of it does come down to like a sense of humor, even if it isn't all about comedy.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many bands I'm sure you met as well on the road, and just like they've got like the wrapped van and they're from like whatever the coolest, like, at the time, like Rob said, emo core band or whatever. And they're like, we're sponsored by Vans and like, and Church's Chicken or whatever. And like we got the van wrap and everything. And we're like pulling up and we get out and they're like, what in the fuck is this? Like call security. Who are these people? You know what I mean? And like, their shoes don't match each other, like, what I mean? And they're just these weird people, and they play, and you're like, you're the most derivative, sniveling group of pussies I've ever fucking seen in my life, and you're acting like you're some kind of big deal. And I'm like, you're like one of a billion of these things, and it's completely uninteresting unless you're really good, or if you twist it, and that means you're a weirdo, so they won't think you're that good of a band because you're like too weird, to be an emo band because you're, not doing exactly what everybody in the emo scene was doing. For instance, not picking on emo so much, but like,
Well, that's what was going on at the time too.
Yeah.
Every band. And I remember when we'd play with them and I was like, oh, I see what this is. This is hair metal before it ends. Like, that's what this is. It's just going to end. These bands aren't going to be relevant. Like,
yeah. You're like, three of you will be, made an impact,
But they're relevant now. Is the crazy thing is it's gone full circle now. MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, is doing a song called Emo Girl. Have you heard that one?
Thank God.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Thank God.
It's
I'm so out of touch with whatever is popular right now.
Well, it's interesting just because now it's an aesthetic. It isn't necessarily a movement anymore. It's just like a pair of clothes that you could put on and say, I'm this for the day, kind of thing. Yeah.
That's about his girlfriend, whatever her name is, from that movie Jennifer's Body.
Megan Fox.
Yeah. That's what that song's about.
Yeah, she's an emo girl.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. Yeah, I'm on YouTube a lot, so I know a lot about this dumb stuff. So let's transition real quick because I'm trying to keep these episodes. I'm trying to not do the 3-hour podcast thing anymore. So let's go to how you arrived in Los Angeles and what you're doing now. And did you go out there alone? Did the whole band go out there? Like, how did all that go down?
No, it was kind of it was in 2010, and like the band had been kind of, in my personal opinion, we've been kind of like drifting. We weren't really as cohesive musically, like moving forward. Like, we could play all our stuff still. We were still like, I felt a pretty good band, but I didn't feel like we were moving forward with much. Maybe it was just me, but it didn't seem like everybody was fully into it as much anymore. It was kind of like we were into different aspects of it, but like kind of forgot what the initial interest was,
That was like that was like 8 years into it too, wasn't it?
It was about 7 years, I think.
Okay.
Tip to tail, for the band, a little over 7 years that we were together.
Did you guys ever get any offers for any package tours from any bigger bands wanting to bring you along? Because I remember you weren't playing with a whole lot of groups like that. I was just curious.
We really didn't. And that was one of the things too, I think, that sort of pushed us a little bit. We started feeling like, well, we've been doing it, and like hammering it out. People say we're good. We think we're good, like, why aren't we playing with some cooler bands like that? We could, no, say cooler bands, guys. Don't take it out.
Cooler bands.
Like, it's like, we're going to let you open for this at this.
Yeah, we were in the same spot when I was towards the end of it.
And you're like, I don't know why. And it's the reason why is because it doesn't happen for everybody. And in fact, not for very many people, even if they're good, So, and then I think, I'm like, how many bands do I like that never even got to leave their hometown half the time, And they like this band, I think they played like a show in Detroit, and then they played in DC, and somehow I found out about them, like 10, 15 years after they broke up, you know what I mean? They had one record, and a 7-inch, and you're like, wow, fucking awesome band. It like, really influenced me. But at the same time, like, how come they weren't much bigger and like still touring and everything? It's because it just doesn't always happen that way, Shit happens.
Yeah, we played with this band called Black Cat Revival that I still listen to regularly, and they're fantastic. And it's like, you listen to it, it's like, how is this band not gigantic? They're just so different. Did you guys ever play with them?
I know we didn't, but I remember the name of them. are they still active, or are they?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything from them in a long time. But
Yeah.
the only reason I'm surprised you guys didn't cross paths with them is one, they were like Columbus, Ohio, and they were no guitar, keyboard driven band, keys, bass, singer, and just sounded huge.
Yeah, another really odd band that were insane musicians, and the live show was really good too. And that's the thing, is you hear a band like that and they blow you the fuck away. And also our friends Idea Man is another band that is like really, really fucking so incredible. When you listen to them, you're like, how is this band not huge? And they just, I don't know. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how good of a songwriter you are. Sometimes you just don't get that break, or you don't even, things just don't fall in line where you can leave and do the band full time. Like, people have actual real adult shit to do. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too. It's like, it is rarely all about talent when it comes to like, it's like people who know how to do the right part of the thing to improve and maintain and move forward with their fame or whatever. But like, fame is in everybody's skill set. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole other thing besides just being in a band and working at it. This guy over here, Ron, is like, I think he's probably the most famous person watching this podcast right now, actually. Yeah. I mean, that means even when it goes into syndication, he'll still be the most he could just sail through it like a gazelle.
I am running for president.
You should run for president. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Except my name's going to be Joe Cobra.
Oh.
So
what we call you?
Fame
POTUS
has
Cobra?
nothing. What is it going to be?
POTUS Cobra. Would that be your? Because POTUS Cobra sounds like the next show that needs to be made.
You're
for
fired.
Netflix or Apple TV or whoever's going to pick up your podcast. Somebody.
You're fired.
Call me POTUS Cobra, bro.
You're hired.
You're hired.
You're fired. There's a good Eric Andre bit where he dresses up like Ronald McDonald and he goes into a McDonald's and just starts crying into the burgers, and then he's screaming at the people behind the counter. He goes, "You're hired. You're fired." And then he's literally just in the Ronald McDonald outfit, just crying into a burger. It's amazing.
He's the best.
Yeah,
that's on the tubes, eh?
It's on. Yeah, it's floating around there somewhere. So
I was just say, if you want to go back into more what you're doing in LA and everything, I mean, sidetrack everything.
Yeah, good job, Rob. Rob is steering this bitch. Let's go.
Someone's got to task it.
It's true.
It's not me, that's for sure. What am I doing out here? I was doing a lot of stand-up comedy before the pandemic, with running some shows and that kind of thing, performing that, and then pandemic. So you're not gonna share a mic during that time, and with 10 other people, and then I had a kid who I still have.
Yay! You still got him.
Hooray!
He's great. He's taking a nap right now, and doing that, and kind of figuring out where to move forward from this zone of pandemia. I made a record during the pandemic on my own, which is the first time I ever done anything like that.
Congrats!
Oh no shit! Awesome.
Yeah, it's up on the the usual platforms and all that.
Is it just under your name, or what is it under?
It's called elfNOISE. I made a name for myself band called elfNOISE, and the album is Fresh Fossils with a Z, and that is on the places, like I said. But I just record. I was getting kind of like really into I miss music thing, because when I started doing comedy, I wasn't really doing as much music, and I couldn't find anybody to play with out here. Not surprisingly. Yeah,
that's a thing, man.
It's insane.
Yeah, and I was never really like the solo guy. Like I dabbled with it here and there, never to much fruition. And so I was just like, well, fuck it, I'm locked in the house anyway. So I bought I was on Reverb.com, and I found a 8-track Tascam cassette recorder, and was like, recently refurbished from the factory or whatever. And I was like, that's a decent price. I'll buy that. I remember we had a 4-track back in high school, so I got the 8-track cassette and just was like playing with it. I'm like, okay, I'm make an album, why not? I really started writing songs. So I was like, I really fucking miss this. And And I didn't have comedy as an outlet either at that time, you know. So I was just like, while my son was napping, I would go record drums in the, you know, in the back, and like, you know, just put it together. It's not great, but I had fun doing it, and it's listenable, you know.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, if you feel like checking it out, check it out.
Oh,
I'm
definitely.
going to check it.
If you do check it, let me know what you think either way, good or bad. But yeah, that's about it. You know, I don't know. It was like a lot of, I guess, stand-up comedy, a little bit of, you know, I guess like, I wouldn't call it acting per se, but I did a couple commercial things and like a little voiceover this one time. And it was like, cool.
Awesome.
It was like, cool, but I never really pursued it. It's not why I came here in the first place. I don't know, you know, looking back, I don't really know why I came here. I think I just needed something new or something fresh for like perspective. And
The sun.
other than that, what's that?
The sun, dude.
The sun.
Yeah, the
My
sun.
sun or the sun?
No, the sun, the thing that's in the sky. It comes out when you're out west.
I know. I'm so sick of the sun right now. Like,
Right, well,
like,
we
it's
have
just
the
so nice
opposite
all the
thing.
fucking time. You know, I'm like, can it? I mean, we do need rain, and we never get rain really. So it's like, can we stop stealing water from a different desert and like maybe have a little rain? That would be cool. We could, you know, just hold a mug out the window and catch some rain. No, I don't know. It's cool. It's a place, man, you know, and I've been here longer than I've been anywhere but where I went, you know, grew up, you know, so it's like, I'm here and it's cool. And it's got a lot of aspects that I missed because of the pandemic. You know, I'm like, it'll be great to enjoy some of the things that I like about this town, but I can't because they're all behind, you know, duct tape and caution tape or whatever. But, I've been, like you were doing, walking a lot and trying to get out with some folks and do like hikes and some of the good canyons that they got out here and whatnot. You know, go to the beach sometimes, and it's cold right now, but still go down there and just put your feet in the water. And the ocean is always like I don't know, you'd be in the worst mood probably because you drove to the beach in LA.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you just sit there and, you know, you smell the water and you see the ocean and you're just like, oh fuck, all right, there's something, you know, like motherly primal about that whole thing. It's just like, wow, okay,
Beautiful.
at any moment I could be swallowed up by that thing and none of it matters anyway. So why not enjoy it while you're here?
It's true, dude. And I feel like with the onset of the pandemic, so many people's priorities got scaled back. And I know that I was living in LA when the pandemic hit. I was in Long Beach. And Nick, you and I would see you. I would pop up to Venice and see you every once in a while. But the other weird thing about that city is how fucking big it is.
Yeah.
And even if you know people in the city, everyone's so busy grinding, you never fucking see anyone. Like I remember I lived a 7-minute walk away from my best friend growing up when I was living in West Hollywood. Saw him once the whole time.
I know. Man,
I mean,
true.
is it my fault or is it just the nature of LA? It's like it just everyone's super fucking busy, just grinding, trying to survive, you know? But
it is both. And plus, if you have to get in the car and drive more than 3 miles, it's going to take you a half an hour or more. And you're like, I don't want to sit in traffic to go see his ass. Like, that's in Echo Park, man. That's like a 2-hour drive to go 14 miles. You know what I mean? So that's pretty daunting, I think, too. And, you know, public transit's getting better. It still sucks, you know,
right
out here. So I think that's a big part. And it is. Everybody's busy, you know, like doing something, even if it's just driving.
Yeah. What do you do all week? I just drive most of the time.
I just try to get from point A to point B in the same day, you know, like.
It takes a while. The thing is too, is like all the way down in Long Beach, it's like, why would I go up to LA, especially during the pandemic when everything was closed? So I became, my girlfriend and I became literal prisoners in our apartment in Long Beach to the point where we're like, let's just go somewhere where it's cheaper because we're paying all this money to fucking stay in here. But I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we're out here now and you know, it's cheaper, but there's also this thing for 6 months. You don't see the sun. It's kind of rough, but it's funny. The grass is always greener because when you're out in LA, you're like, oh, the fucking sun is pissing me off. Like, get the fuck out of here. And then when you're out here, I have a sun lamp right here because my depression is like.
You need the D, man. You need the D.
Yeah, I need that big old D in me.
Does the sun lamp work?
I don't know if it works or if it's just a placebo thing.
Well, I have a friend who went to school in Alaska. He went to college in Alaska, and they had on campus special rooms that like, plus everywhere downtown, like would have like a corner of the cafe would have sun lamps. So they were full spectrum lighting.
Oh.
And it was because, the sun didn't even come up for 3 months a year there, And then if it did for the other half of that 6 month period, it was like, it came up for about 2 hours or something, and then until summer and it doesn't go down. And then you're just like,
It's like that Al Pacino movie. What was that movie called? Was it Insomnia, the one where he's like chasing a bad guy and he's in Alaska and the sun doesn't set?
Scent of a Woman.
Oh, I haven't seen
Scent of a Woman. Scent of a Woman. Yeah, that's what it is. Wait, my favorite Al Pacino line is in the movie Heat when he goes, "She's got a great ass, and you've got your head all the way up it." That's a good one. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in Al Pacino great ass and the clip will come up. It's from the movie Heat, which also had Val Kilmer. Yeah. Are you aware of Val Kilmer's situation? They had a documentary.
Yeah, my friends cut that documentary.
Okay, yeah. So
nice.
Just
That's a good one.
He got throat cancer. Now he has to talk through one of those. I don't know exactly what it's called, but he's got a really great attitude for being like a Hollywood pretty guy, but also you wouldn't think that he was a classically trained actor because you just think of Iceman in Top Gun, where he does that. He like almost bites Tom Cruise's nose. It's really a lot of sexual tension in that scene. But yo, like Val Kilmer is a Juilliard actor. You wouldn't know that until
but you shouldn't say that to him. You wouldn't know he went to
because he even goes into it. He talks about how he was typecasted as a pretty guy, and that's why the public had developed this opinion that he was just this pretty guy. He was Batman. Yeah, I mean,
his Jim Morrison, I think, is what did it really because
he was great.
Before that, he was in like Top Secret and like My Science Project, and he's probably stoked he didn't get typecast for any of that shit. But when he was like Jim Morrison, he's like, I don't mind riding the Jim Morrison typecast thing for a little while, like
he went through so much training for that.
Well, I guess so he, as far as what I got from the documentary, he was married to the woman from Willow, his female lead. He ended up marrying, having kids with that woman from Willow. I forget what that actress's name is. But I guess he was doing what's it called? Method acting. He was method acting Jim Morrison like at home. And I guess he was a real fucking asshole to be around that whole time he was filming the Doors movie, according to her.
Yeah, probably.
Just so pretty.
Imagine how Pam felt, you know what I mean?
So pretty and so drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of
taking acid in the middle of the day, just like, hey, hon, I'm just studying for my role.
Or just,
You still have to pick the kids up and cut from daycare, you know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, Val Kilmer.
Valmy.
What's it called? Real Genius.
Oh yeah, the House of Popcorn.
Yeah, that's a great one. Real Genius.
Yeah, man.
I always love Val Kilmer. So shouts out. I don't even know how we got on Val Kilmer, but shouts out to Val.
Shouts out to Valmy.
Yeah, Valmy.
Shouts to Val.
Shouts to Valmy.
He is a good, he's in it. But sorry. I should have said that 10 minutes ago. We're in the middle of the conversation. What were we talking about before we derailed?
We're talking about elfNOISE. Also, I think now is usually an hour and a half is like as long as I want to go with this podcast thing. So I could talk to all you motherfuckers for like hours and hours and hours though. So like,
we could keep going. You can cut it into multiple ones if you want to. It's up to you.
Okay.
6-hour podcast.
Yeah, so this is the first time I've actually, because I have a switcher on my end. You're only seeing one camera angle, but there's literally like 4 camera angles going on my end. Boom, 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 boom. This is gonna be. We've entered into a world of production that I didn't even know was possible.
1984.
Yeah, 1996. I'm just hitting the buttons. I'm switching like so fast right here.
least it doesn't have that beep anymore, right?
Yeah, the beep is gone. So,
Beep, 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 beep,
so is LA comedy back at all, or is it still?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are doing it, especially now. Obviously, every time a variant popped its head up, it like shut down a couple of venues. But I was doing it. My most recent show I was running was at my friend's. I don't know. You came to one of those, didn't you, Neil?
I performed.
Backyard? What's that? Yeah, that's right. You played and you performed at Tony's house. That's right. Wow. It seems like another world. Like, I'm like, yeah, that was a thing. And then
2017.
I'm like, what was that comic's name? And it's like the one who did your show like 100 times. I'm like, yeah, what was his name? Like, I don't remember anything right now. I've totally turned to porridge, COVID porridge, just like, I don't feel like I know anybody anymore. I don't even know myself.
Same.
Yeah.
But sorry, what were you saying?
I just remember you did that DIY show and it was like in a backyard in Venice, and yeah, I remember after I did that show, I'm like, I could do this in the comedy clubs, but then I just was doing like the Downtown Brown thing, trying to make that shit work in like the LA punk scene, which was man, I always thought Detroit didn't give a fuck about bands. Go to LA, dude. Go to fucking LA. Give it a try.
Way more of a fuck about bands than LA does. I mean, I think Detroit, I don't know. I always felt like that. Even back in the day, though, when we would be on the road, I'd be like, okay, we play in New York, and we are from upstate New York, so we have some friends down in the city in Jersey and whatnot. I get like a handful of people that would give a fuck and like take a train to come see you. In LA, some people, but we would just play their house, and the people we didn't know was everybody else out of the 18.5 million, and they didn't give a fuck about us. like how I was like, Hollywood, Holly not. I don't know if that even makes sense, but you know what I mean? I was like, fuck Hollywood. Let's go down to Long Beach. Let's go play the Inland Empire, Let's go play Pomona. Way better in Pomona than it was on the Strip, in my opinion. I was like, we played the Roxy once, I was like, I don't give a fuck. We played that in like the Dragonfly or something, and I was like, I don't give a fuck about Hollywood, dude. Like, let's go play Long Beach. Let's go play. We played Long Beach. We had a good down at Alex's. We used to play there, and we'd have a good turnout whenever we played there.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, and Alex is super cool. He still owns the place, as far as I know. That was surprising to hear. I haven't been down in like 2 years. Probably longer than that, really. But I got my hair cut by his girlfriend at the bar there one night after a show. I had
they survived. Alex's bar down in Long Beach survived the pandemic.
That's awesome. That place is great. I mean, I don't know. It's one of the few places that in this LA vicinity that I've been to that is not a hype machine kind of venue, and is also still good. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to the Whiskey a Go-Go to see a show. Oh, yeah. I've never played there, but to see a show, it's like the worst fucking venue in the world, You're like the acoustics suck, and like the setup sucks, and it's really small, which isn't bad, but like they have a balcony all of a sudden that just sucks all the low end into it and rumbles around up there. So you're sitting in the balcony, you're like, all I can hear is and like a snare drum, And then if you're on the floor, then all the bass is sucked up into the balcony. So it's just really like crispy cymbals and sibilant sounds all the time. And I was just like, and you pay $20 to go see some like dudes who got off work and like they're playing like Dave Matthews covers through distortion boxes, and you're like, why the fuck am I here, dude? And like that's what I don't get about places like LA and New York and like the big scene. That's like, it's not that big. It's a big scene because there's a lot of people in it, but it's not a big scene, So, like the little pockets in LA or New York are where you'd rather go. The place that isn't the cool venue yet because nobody knows that these bands are cool. That's always when I've found like the best shit, in my opinion, anywhere, not just New York and LA, but like, you're like, oh, you could go to, the Viper Room, for instance, when it was still the Viper Room, and you could go see, like these guys that used to play cock rock in the 80s, and now they are like, financial advisors and like, post-production supervisors, and like they get together to play their cock rock with their receding hairlines and shit. And you're like, I don't want, and then you got to pay $20 to get in and pay for parking. I'm like, who gives a shit about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you should pay me $20 to come see you. But like, if I'm, some like piece, like if it was as bad a sound as the Whiskey, but like at a venue that was like, just come in, I don't care, like whatever, like, there's no charge. There's some stupid band playing nobody knows, and you're like, if the sound was as bad as the Whiskey, but it was that kind of an entrance and scenario, and like the band was good, I would totally love the bad sound. I would eat that bounce out and just be like, but like it's just the hype is so big in a lot of places that they really lost touch with what made them famous in the first place. It's like the people who made the Whiskey famous have not been to the Whiskey in 40 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The crazy
the
shit
people
about
who are booking those shows haven't been to the Whiskey in 40 years either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The crazy shit is if you want to film anything in either of those venues, they charge you $250 per camera. I remember we were playing the Viper Room once, and the staff came up to my friend Greg, and he's holding the camera. They're like, "That's going to be $250," and he's like, "What? I'm just filming for my friend's band." And they're like, "This is the fucking Viper Room. You're gonna have to."
And you're like,
"You're gonna have to pay $250." Like it's in the contract or whatever. I just always thought that was really funny because just solely based on the name or the reputation of the said cock rock venue, everything, any sort of documentation is policed, and you have to pay money. It's pretty. I've never experienced that anywhere in the country other than in Hollywood.
the only other place that I've experienced it, and they were really nice about it, they just had the policy, was the 930 Club in DC.
Yeah.
And they don't let you sell your own merch. You have to have somebody, one of their people, sell your merch at the table, even if you have your own merch person.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of like not what I'd expect from like the legendary 930 Club in DC. Still one of the best venues I've ever played. The sound is great. Their hospitality and backstage is awesome, and the stage and room are perfect, but like, and people go there. That's the other thing, like people are like, the 930 Club, I don't know who's playing, I'm just going to go,
That's
I tried doing that
plus.
when I first moved to LA and doing it at like, Whiskey or fucking the Roxy or something. I was like, nah. Troubadour, which reopened, I guess, is probably the best and my most favorite venue in LA that is of any renown, that isn't just like a fly by night or something.
I saw Dead Milkman there in 2012 or 13. I was on tour, and we were staying at my buddy Greg's, and they just happened.
Just talking about that.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. They happened to be playing, and I'm like, let's go see Dead Milkman. We walked down to the Troubadour because he lives on Fairfax and Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood.
Oh wow!
So
Nice.
we just walked down there and saw Dead Milkman. That was cool.
Yeah, it's a good venue, and that's like, it is a legendary place that could have a lot of pretense, but they have a pretty minimal pretension for a place like that would, on Santa Monica Boulevard in West or Main Hollywood or anything like that. Like they could be more cocky and dicky about it, but they're not really, in my experience.
Yeah, they seem pretty chill.
And the sound's like generally always good there. It's not a huge place. Seen a bunch of bands that are, I'm like stoked to have seen at all, but they played there. And there was, a funny thing I was going to say about this Dead Milkman thing. I saw them at Terragram when they came back with Rodney, and that was probably like 4 years ago. And it was awesome. But like we had actually played a little short, like I guess you'd call it mini tour with Joe Talcum from the Dead Milkman when he was doing his solo thing. And so like we just randomly got hooked up through like this other guy that I didn't really know, but had known us from shows. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to book you. And like we played like a weird bar in New Haven, and then like, I don't know where else, somewhere in Western Massachusetts. But it was cool because Joe, we were all like, most people are like, who the fuck is Joe Talcum? But like, we were like, it was like Iggy Pop had entered the room, or, it was like Mr. Led Zeppelin.
Mr. Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Mr. Zeppelin was here. And we were just like, holy shit, like keep it together. Ian and I especially, we're pretty big Dead Milkman fans, but like, and he was just super cool and like very shy. Like the first day he was kind of like, is he too cool for school? And it's like, no, he's just a really shy guy. But he actually was one of the reasons why I considered doing stand-up comedy, was because, as typical with any mathematician show, something electronic breaks in the middle of the set.
Oh yeah, all those moving parts and everything.
Yeah. So some like the computer won't load, or the sample is taking too long. So anyways, I had to do a spiel, and I'm up there spieling and just like going. They're like improvise, just improvise. Screwdrivers and like welders' mask comes down, and they're just trying to figure it out. And I'm just saying the shit. And Joe's actually, this is our last show on the little outing with them. And he's sitting like at a table. There's like 13 people if we're lucky at the bar, you know what I mean? And he's just sitting at a table, like kind of by the stage, and it's just going off on the story and doing all these different things. And I can't even begin to tell you what it was about. But after the set, he came up and he's like, "Hey man, that was a pretty fucking great spiel you had there." He's like, "Is that like a bit?" I'm like, "No, I don't know. I was just talking out of my ass." And he's like, "Well, you should do some stand-up comedy. Did you ever do that?" And I'm like, "No, but I love stand-up comedy, like as a fan." And then he's like, "Well, man, maybe you should give it a try." And then a couple of years later, I was in LA and I was like, "Well, I don't have a band or anything. I might as well listen to the wise words of Joe Jack Talcum and start doing stand-up comedy." And so that was kind of like, I guess, why I wanted to round about back to that and bring it in. But it was like basically one of the main reasons why I ever thought I would do it myself, as opposed to just enjoying going to see it and listening to people do it.
That's badass. I like how a lot of times when I do this podcast shit, it comes full circle. It's like I throw dead milkmen out there, and you're like, "Yeah, we toured with Joe Jack Talcum," and then he's the reason why I do stand up comedy. And back to this,
Yeah, and I try to keep it cognizant, a little bit of a through line somewhere.
It's nice. These long form conversations. They sometimes meet at both ends in a very sexual way.
Kiss.
Yeah.
I like how Ron. See, Ron's back here, but I have a camera that's solely on him. So like when you see the edit of this, it's just gonna go to like solo Ron.
Nice.
You should just have a version of the video that's Ron listening to the file, and that's the only camera angle for the whole thing.
Like his lips aren't moving.
Let's get deep.
The problem is the way I'm recording it is recording the switching. It makes it easier for me to edit. So,
for sure.
Yeah, but if I would have put a card in Ron's specific camera and just been recording this whole time, we could have done that. But
I'm just enjoying the switching.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch. Yeah.
Okay, so
nice.
Well, and I do want to touch on one thing. Like, as much as the club scene in LA might be butt, and there might be too many bands that go out there and they're trying to do the same thing, and also like music with guitars and bands aren't even the cultural zeitgeist anymore.
No. Think about that. That's weird. Huh?
It is weird. It's weird that like being in a band is not cool anymore. Like if you're a DJ or you're an MC, like that's way cooler. But there is like some of the craziest shit I ever saw were these like DIY punk shows under highway overpasses and whatnot. There is like a DIY like backyard scene in LA that there's nothing like that in the entire country. So I do want to give a shout out to that. Like we might be some like old men on here being like, yeah, the club scene sucks and cock rock. But yeah, if you're in like a really crusty, gnarly punk band and you light shit on fire, there's definitely like, that Channel 5 dude, Ron, Andrew Callahan. Yeah. There's one episode where he goes to one of those DIY LA punk shows where it's underneath the like highway overpass.
Is it Channel 5 or All Gas?
It was All Gas, No Brakes.
Oh, I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, you got to find it. But anyway, there's like 5,000 fucking people.
Yeah. I was working with a kid before the pandemic, and I call him a kid. He's just in his early 20s, and he used to
kid
even on. Yeah, I know. on the west side, he's like, "Oh man, you got to come with us sometime because like they do this thing, and it's probably an offshoot of what you're talking about, and they just like parking lot or like like an overpass or just like maybe down at like one of those little structures by the beach, and they just bring like little battery powered amps, you know what I mean, or like a small generator, and people bike to the show. Somebody puts the word out in some list or whatever, I don't know, but like you just ride your bike to the show and they'll do like one band there for like 20 minutes, and then everybody goes to the next stage, which will be where the next band is playing, and you just ride around like this, like 10 mile circumference on your
That's
bike.
crazy.
You go to these
Amazing.
different and I was like, I got to go to that. But then like pandemic happened, like, you know, probably a year later by the time, but like, you know, it was just like, that sounds fucking cool. And like, it is inspiring to hear that kind of thing is existing, because that's keeping it vital and you know, live and interesting for, you know, the people playing and the people going, you know, which that's another reason I don't, you know, the club thing, like you can go to a good club, you know, I don't want to shit on these clubs who you probably are friends with people who own them or something like that.
No,
but
shit
like,
on all of them.
you know what I mean? I'm just like, it's a different thing. Not that you can't go and have a good time at a bar or club playing or going to a show, you know, not you can't, but like, especially in current day where everybody's getting a little more scared of each other's germs and shit, as you know, pandemics tend to make people do. Like you still have going out into the world again. You can still have fun, and that's like, why don't we try and reimagine some of these things? Like use some options and don't keep it so in the hands of just like the Roxy, you know, who doesn't deserve to hold on to it anyways, you know, in my opinion. Not all of it anyway. Like they hold on to their share. Like
I wonder if there'll be DIY venues in the metaverse.
Whoa.
like the streaming.
That's a good question. Yeah, because I
is that a Spider-Man reference?
because I interviewed
I just saw that last night. It's great. The third one,
Oh, which one?
Into the Multiverse or whatnot. The Spider-Man.
Yeah, the animated one.
No, the one that just came out, the
That
live
one's
action.
cool.
Yeah, they're both really amazing. If you like those types of things.
Yeah, I need to see that. I need to see it because Zendaya's in it, and I'm a huge Euphoria fan.
Yeah.
Good show.
I watched a couple episodes of that, but it was in the middle of the season. And I was like, I got no clue what's going on right now.
You guys started
Okay.
from the beginning because every episode has like a cold open where it fully explains the backstory of a character. So like by the time you're on the 8th episode, they're on like explaining the life story of the 8th character. It's very episodic. You have to definitely watch it from the first season, first season, and then also you have to kind of. I don't know. There's a lot of really heavy stuff, drug use, and a lot of a lot of teenage sex. Even though the people who are performing are in their 20s, so it's not like it's not that weird. But it has come under fire. Some say it's sensationalizing teenage sex and drug use and glorifying it. Even people have said.
I mean, most of the time you put it in a TV show or on a movie, it's glorifying it. You know, I mean, like, you know,
yeah.
I mean, I watch the Punisher movies, you know, like it's not like you shouldn't do this. It's like, go get a fucking Uzi and like 12 other machine guns and then go do whatever you want with them. You know, like that's kind of what it's saying, but it's not really saying that. It's like, hey, this is a movie. This is a character that's made up in a movie.
Yeah.
Don't go do this yourself. But we shouldn't have to say that because we're not your fucking parents. You know what I mean? Concept, but like, you know,
see, it makes sense.
Like,
it makes sense to you, but I don't know. I wouldn't want. Go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead.
I wouldn't want to. Like, I wouldn't watch Euphoria and want to do drugs. Want to do like hard drugs. Let's just put it that way.
From the part, I saw like 2 or 3 episodes, and I would agree that it did not make me feel like going out and partying hard. You know, with a bunch of teenagers, for especially like you're way too advanced for me, man. Like, I don't know if this is what kids are doing these days. Holy fuck, this place is going to burn down in a couple of years. You know,
right?
You know, but like it is sensationalizing it. From what I saw, I was like, this is a bit over the top, but it's drama and it's like really beautifully shot. And they go obviously very in depth in the characters. Even from the little bit I saw, I was like, this is a great show, like quality of entertainment wise. It's just people are weirded out because it's dealing with things that they're uncomfortable dealing with and they don't want to talk to their kids about, you know? So if you have teenagers watching Euphoria, don't think that that's going to educate them. And if you do think it's going to educate them and in a way you don't want, you should talk to your kid and be like, hey, let's watch this together. And then like, I want you to tell me what you think about it afterwards or something like that. You know, you don't have to go burn Ozzy albums all the time, you know. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like, what did that do? It just made him even richer because the kids bought 3 copies instead of 1, you know. But, you know, what are you going to do?
Well, I just think like whatever parent is watching the first episode of Euphoria with their teenager, the first episode starts off with a really gnarly sex scene. So they're going to be in for a trip.
That's how you get them hooked.
Yeah. That's what you're like. Go make popcorn, kid. You know,
I remember
Daddy's gonna watch this.
I remember watching Brokeback Mountain with my mom, and we were thinking that it was like kind of a cute love story. And then there came the scene where it just got kind of nasty.
Sexy.
And, and I just remember watching that with my mom and being like, okay, this is happening. And I don't know why this is making me think of this, but with my ex's dad, I was sitting on a couch one time and he had Deliverance on, and I'm sitting next to my ex-girlfriend's dad, who's like he's a right winger and kind of a doctor, a functioning alcoholic, and kind of homophobic and racist, like not the coolest dude. And I'm sitting next to him, and it's just like squeal like a pig, and I'm just like sitting next to him and not saying anything. I'm just like, we're watching Ned Beatty just get like
railed.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, he put that on purpose. I hope you realize. Like, he's like, I'm going to subtly play with your mind. And
I don't think that guy was that smart. Honestly, I mean, he's
you wouldn't. But, know,
but who knows? Yeah, maybe he's
trick.
like I do this to all my daughter's boyfriends. I play Deliverance, and then we sit down, and I don't say a goddamn thing.
And then the next time you come over, he starts playing the banjo. In the kitchen, and you're like, oh shit.
He's like, hey Neil, squeal like a pig. Oh man.
He's like, boy, I love that Ned Beatty.
Yeah, so that was the thing that happened, but
I like it. I mean, I don't like it, but I like it. You know.
Yeah, good times. I don't like it. I don't like it, but I like it.
Yeah. I don't know. Euphoria.
So I've been holding in like Ron. I've been holding in this flatulence for an hour and 50 minutes.
Let it fly, man.
No, I can't subject you to it because I had a lot of spinach earlier.
Oh, there was that one time when we played an outdoor venue and you cleared it because they thought it was Mexican sewage, but it was because you farted on stage.
Yeah.
You said on the microphone, Mexican sewage from the Mexican food restaurant.
No, that's not how it happened. I remember that because I had quit drinking at this point. So it was a venue called Headhunters, and it had a stage inside. It was a small bar. And it was on Bar Rescue, but they changed it. They called it like
steampunk.
Yeah, Metal and Lace or something.
Yeah.
So we're in Austin, Texas, and we're down on 6th Street. We're on Red River, and we're playing. We're getting ready to play, and it's Don and you and myself on tour. And I had such bad gas because I was carrying around a jug of protein at the time. I was like, I'm just gonna
protein.
Yeah,
in a jug.
Yeah, I'm just
huge. It was like 10-gallon fucking barrel of whey.
It was a 5-pound
whey.
Yeah, whey. And so what happened is I just was really gassing, and the funny part is there was an open ceiling. It was an outdoor venue. And my gas was so bad that the entire back patio was like, oh my God. And the bartender told a patron, the bartender's just like, yeah, that's just Mexican sewage from next door. But the thing is I knew it wasn't Mexican sewage. I knew.
We had a feeling.
And then when we got on stage, Ron and Don and I were playing Downtown Brown stuff, and I just scream into the mic, "It was me!" And but no one knew that I was referencing the Mexican sewage. Yeah, but
somebody in the audience got it though, and they were just like,
they're like, yeah, it was. But I don't know, if you're on tour and you're sharing a van with a bunch of dudes, don't just drink a bunch of whey protein is my advice.
That's why I said it always.
You probably didn't realize you were lactose intolerant at the time as well.
Wouldn't that be funny? Like, yeah, I'm drinking whey protein the entire tour, and then I realized that my body can't digest milk. Oh my goodness.
And you just get swole, but
swole
only in the bubble guts.
Yeah, the only thing getting swole is my large colon.
Pucker and butthole.
Pucker and butthole. I love that we went into this. This is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna. You can't avoid that.
Can't avoid it. You brought up the fart, my man.
Yeah, because I'm holding it in because I can't subject you to it. It's too bad.
I think you should just rip it with like a good, put a compressor and maybe like a slight flange or something.
Delay, a good delay on there. Yeah.
Or heavy distortion.
Yeah, heavy distortion.
This could turn into a fart reaction video, I guess.
Good.
You fart and I see how I react.
I
just walk out of the room.
Yeah. You're very civil, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I've smelled his farts for years, and it just ended up smelling like a traveling bologna warehouse. So it's like, I've smelled it before.
Yeah.
I like that traveling bologna warehouse.
Yeah.
I think that should be the name of the next Downtown Brown, actually.
Yeah. Our eighth album, Traveling Bologna Warehouse.
You should just steal an Oscar Mayer truck like the dog, and just tour in that.
Yeah, they got one at the Henry Ford Museum.
It sounds like a Butthole Surfer. That's a Butthole Surfer's album title for sure.
Yeah, totally.
What was it again? Traveling Bologna Warehouse?
Yeah.
That's Butthole.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Or factory.
Or factory.
And
or factory.
Factory would
whatever
have
you
to be
prefer.
first, right?
So hey, okay. So what's
Like
the
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 kind of.
Yeah,
You love GNR, bro?
yeah, I do.
You do?
It's a nostalgia thing. When I was
Nothing wrong with it.
yeah, when I was in
Appetite is dope as F.
Hell yeah.
Still,
yeah.
those riffs.
Riffs, man, riff salad. When I was in 5th grade, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 was highly influential on me saying curse words.
You can hear it in your solos and shit too.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Slush.
Some slush.
Yeah, that's the best part about winter is when all the snow melts, you get slush.
Hey.
Oh, there's new Red Hot Chili Pickles songs. John Frusciante's back.
Oh, good.
I saw something about that.
I don't. Ron doesn't care about the Red Hot Chili Pickles.
No, but I've always thought John Frusciante, or whatever his name is one of like the best rhythm
It's pronounced
players.
Poisson.
John Frusciante.
John Fushy.
John Franchi.
John Fushy's a great guitarist.
Yes. He's a good guitar player.
No,
I don't know.
his
I feel
rhythm
like
is
I
unbelievable.
was so stoked when he came back for Californication, and I ended up not really. I went to see them on that tour, and I was like, because I'd seen him on the 1 Hot Minute tour when I was in high school with
Dave Navarro.
Yeah, that's the one. And it was like cool. They were a great band to see live, and still in their prime then. And then I saw them at that on the Californication tour, and I was like, I think they're still like good players and all that. Anthony Kiedis, I have less tolerance for him as time goes on.
Same.
Like, and like
Kiedis.
I appreciate he wants to try and do something different. Everything is just like it's awful. It's god awful, as a matter of fact. And it's like 5 albums deep of that shit. I'm like, I did listen to What Hits the other day for the first time since I grew pubes, probably, and was like, this is a fucking kick-ass compilation. Like all the songs are so good. All that shit up to and including Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I believe. All that stuff up to there. I mean, obviously there's a couple duds songs here and there, but like most of it is awesome. And it was like, I think stands the test of time is something that is different, but compelling at the same time. And then after that, it kind of...
Yeah, post Blood Sugar Chili Pickles is pretty divisive, I feel. Like
What's the song about the Lakers that I love? That's like the one.
There's several. There's like 8, I think.
Yeah, it's
Magic Johnson.
Yeah, Magic Johnson. LA Lakers.
Awesome, man.
And then it's
They were
going
like, what is that? And at the time, like, they were playing against the hair metal, you know what I mean? Like that's what they were in the scene of. And they're like, it was like them and then Faith No More were like the ones that were like kind of coming out of the left field for all these people who are like really busy with their hairspray, and like big shoulder pad jackets and stuff, like making sure their eyeshadow matched their socks, like, and these guys were just like, I'm going to wear spray painted underwear and I'm going to cut my own hair with a can opener and I'm going to shred some crazy jazz funk. Like, you're not even going to know what it is. You know what I mean? And like, and you're going to be like, I can't say they suck because they don't, but like, what is that? And then there's like this small contingent where we probably would have been sitting going like, yeah. Thank God these guys exist. Otherwise, not listen to music, if all it was like, cock rock and shit, I'd be like, Poison? Yes, please.
Jovi.
so I don't have to listen to this band called Poison anymore. You know what I mean?
Bovine Johnny.
Bovine Jovi.
Johnny. Mr.
You know,
Bovine Johnny.
Mr.
Like
Bovine Jovi.
It's
a lot of
Johnny.
the cats in that field could really shred, but it just goes to show you it ain't all about chops. You got to have the hops. You know what I mean? You gotta have the hops to get props, not just chops.
You gotta have
Something else.
you gotta have a sock on your ding dong.
That goes a long way.
My favorite Anthony Kiedis line is in the song. What's it called? Sir Psycho Sexy.
Oh yeah,
Off of, and which pretty much he narrates a story where he gets it on with a female police officer because he's Sir Psycho Sexy. There's a demon in his semen. And there's a line where he goes, "Big creamy beaver, hotter than a fever," and I just always like that. I just a big creamy beaver.
I had
Some good shit.
a roommate in college who said that at least once a day, and I was like, that was the one thing that he would every day say. Like it wouldn't be prayers, it wouldn't be good morning, everyone. It would be whenever he came home. I was just like, it's catchy. It's still catchy. I mean, that's probably something he's hoping stays buried in the archive nowadays. But like, you know what I mean? That song is going to get him on some lists if it gets played again.
It's a really funky song, but yeah,
So
it's
fun.
when you're a little bit younger, you don't really have a radar for cheesiness or you know
for
what
sure.
I'm saying? Because I remember when I was in high school, like you were talking about the Californication album, I remember being like really into 311 because I really liked the rhythm section. But
Yeah.
when you listen to some of their lyrics, you're just like, oh, oof,
Yeah.
like it's
even then, but like more so as you try to dip back,
well, yeah.
as a mature adult.
And what's funny is I remember trying to talk to some girls in my freshman year of art school and being like, I really like Sublime, and they just didn't ever hang out with me. But not to say Sublime's a bad band, but there's kind of a stigma to the average Sublime /311 listener guy, especially.
Well, it's the combo.
Yeah. They're like this guy
swing
likes
and a miss.
Sublime and 311. Like, I better get the fuck out of here.
He's got
combo.
a corn bumper sticker. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Spelled with a C.
Yeah.
He just loves the vegetable.
Love
Yeah.
vegetable corn.
This guy's fiber intake is massive. Does corn have fiber, or do you just digest? Is it like undigested?
The cellulose of the husk of the kernel is undigestible by human stuff. But so that's why it looks like you just shit out the corn you ate, but it's really just the husk of the corn, supposedly, and your body eats the inside, and then that other part just kind of scrapes your colon as it goes out.
Ooh.
Although I saw a thing that in Mexico, there's a couple like agricultural union type groups that are starting to eschew all GMO corn, and they're brewing only heirloom and like natural corn, which is great because corn will actually be like food again. You know what I mean? If that takes off, instead of just being like stuff that shows up in your poop and they make sugar out of,
Fingers crossed.
So, for all you corn fans out there.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. For all you hardcore corn fans. Just know that we're going to be removing the chemical agent from corn. It's pure corn.
I saw something that the corn we enjoy now isn't the corn that was when our parents were around. Like the fungus took out all of that corn and they had to regrow it a different way, like change the DNA almost.
Well, they do a lot of things in agriculture where they'll hybrid, and it's technically genetically modified. But what it is really it's like naturally modified. It's just like they add a little bit of this plant to this plant, and it actually grows. And it's the same type of plant, but you can't like make strawberry corn or like apple pumpkins, but which would be cool if you could. Apple pumpkins.
That would be cool.
I think that'll be the name of my next album, Apple Pumpkins. But think of the pancakes. But like you do like physical genetic splicing, not in the lab, but in the on the field, basically, more or less. And that's used to like take stronger genes from one thing and divert it. it's GMO, but it's not been altered through a chemical process or an actual, like you're not tearing down the actual DNA of this thing and then sticking weird shit in it that doesn't belong there, which is what they did with corn over time. And corn, like back when, before the 50s, basically, or before the 40s, I guess, corn was still kind of healthy, and then it was just like with the industrialization of agriculture that they ruined a lot of the food that we eat, by basically making it so it'll last through like a blight or, a bad growing season isn't going to make our country or the rest of the world starve to death, So it's kind of like, I see why you would like at some point people would be like, yes, let's sign a law that goes along with protecting the rights of these companies to do this. And then at a certain point, it becomes not about keeping people alive as it does about like, shareholders or profit margins and things. And
I was hoping you were going to go as it is about.
It's not as much. It's not as much. But it's more like. Because I think that's the misconception about GMOs, because a lot of it has to do with like not actually modifying the molecular genetics through science, but it's just like crossbreeding and involving different plants and whatnot, like you just explained, Nick.
Yeah. And some of that is good, like that's how you make apples grow, like when the trees are like just coming into their period of being on fruit. You oftentimes, like I think, and I'm not a farmer, so I don't know this, but like
tell us, expert.
They actually slice, like they'll grow. You'll see a lot of times pears grow around apples, and they'll take a piece of the pear tree and put it on the apple tree in a special way. And like literally though, they'll cut a chunk off and put it back in, on this tree. And then it has like element of the pollen, so like it kind of can draw the pollen in to make sure it'll fruit and flower, but it's going to fruit and flower with apples because that's the dominant genetic code that's present. But they do that so that the apple tree will actually fruit, because otherwise it won't, or it won't fruit that we would eat. It would be like deer apples and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, so, and that's genetically modified technically, but it wasn't done by like Agway or something.
Right. Because I think the misconception I have is thinking that genetically modified means like we put dino DNA and we put a little bit of bird in there too, and that's how we made Jurassic Park, and then
yeah. I mean, it's the same shit in a sense as that idea conceptually, but it's more or less like, how do we make it so it won't attract this type of bug that has been wiping out the crop? So we put this little thing in it that the bugs don't eat, from like this plant, the scent gene or whatever for this plant, and it puts it off the plant. And so like different things like that were done. It's it's fucking brilliant, really, if you think about it in concept. It's just, it gets out of the hands of those who are doing it to help. And it goes to people who just want to make money off of it, and that almost always ruins it,
I wonder how many people are full on against shit that they are just
I love shit. I do it every day.
No. shit like GMOs, where they just hear a buzzword and they're like, I'm against this, because it's just like the groupthink, as opposed to like you just explaining it. It's like, wow, this guy knows more about this shit than I do. This thing that I'm against,
and I don't.
So who actually has this knowledge, and how can we access it?
Jonathan Davis.
Jonathan Davis. Yeah. Get him on the phone.
You think he answers his phone with like
Jonathan Davis? Tell us about GMOs. Yeah,
it's the ringer.
That guy knows, dude.
That's why he named his band Corn, dude.
Right, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
It makes sense now.
Yeah, he loves
it.
Or corn awareness. That's why they called the band that.
You got to be aware of the corporate entities.
All day I dream about snacks, bro.
Yeah, it's true.
All day,
man. Oh yes.
So I don't know.
That seems like Garfield would be saying that in like a Corn t-shirt.
Yeah, Garfield.
Boom.
That's a hungry cat.
That's a hungry cat.
Lasagna.
It could be an Adidas ad.
All day I dream about. Yeah, that's your new t-shirt idea.
Yeah,
Rob.
Do it with Garfield.
With Garfield, yeah. Let's use as many copyrighted characters as we can.
Or you just
Ooh.
have Garfield in an Adidas suit without the symbol on there, and just put all
with
day
an
I
extra
do
stripe.
about snacks
There you go.
or lasagna. Whatever
I
you
was
wanna do.
just
The
reminded,
Beetle.
by the way, Ron, if you'll remember what you're saying before, because I'm interrupting you rudely and then explaining that it's taking longer to do it.
Do
But Garfield is where the bass player from Korn got his nickname.
Fieldy?
Yeah.
Really?
Because they said he looked, I don't know, it was in that, there was like a documentary of them after their first album came out that my same friend with the Psycho-Sexy thing had in college. And like, so he watched it, you know, and he's like, yeah, it used to be Garfield because I guess his chubby cheeks or something like that, you know, and then it was like Gar, and then it was Field, and then it was Fieldy. And then you just, and that's how that came
Wow.
in. And I was like, oh no shit.
So circles.
Yeah.
How do-
We're
how do
so
I
much-
remember that? I
so
don't
many
remember his
circles.
password.
So many circles. So real quick, the dude, the Sir Psycho Sexy guy, did he actually say Big Creamy Beaver? Or did you just say that as a joke?
He said whatever the lyrics were, or as far as I could tell, he was correct anyways at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and
So it could have been any of the lyrics from that song.
it was that part though specifically.
Oh,
It
it's
was that part.
specifically Big Creamy Beaver.
Yeah.
Hotter than a fever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like that line was the one, and that's why I'm like, oh shit, I'm
Sounds
having a
awesome.
flashback, you know.
There's a documentary called Funky Monks which chronicles the recording of that album with Rick Rubin in the mansion, in the Led Zeppelin mansion or whatever the fuck it was in the Hollywood Hills.
Mr. Zeppelin's mansion.
Mr. Zeppelin's
Zeppelin's
mansion. Yeah.
second house.
And I wonder if Anthony Kiedis knew when he was penning those lyrics that there would be a bunch of dudes walking around screaming "Big Creamy Beaver." Like,
he was hoping for it. I
yeah.
think.
Well, he
You know?
succeeded.
You got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
He's like, I have to speak, I have to really enunciate this part because I want these lyrics to get through to those guys. I don't want there to be any confusion as to what I'm saying. So, you know,
It's the
they will
most.
recite.
It's the most cartoonishly delivered line of the song. Like his
Yeah.
voice changes, like
Yeah.
specifically for that line. Oh, Big Creamy Beaver.
I got to hear this now. I've never
Yeah.
heard
Yeah, I
it
don't even
before.
remember it. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
listen to it.
Oh, man.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna.
The streams will go up by 3 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it might. Yeah, it might be worth.
Cents.
It might be worth a YouTube copyright claim just to throw it in the podcast. So I'll find it.
Just put it one octave
Yeah.
lower.
Yeah, but
lower.
I'll just put it in. I'll just auto tune it.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, Big Creamy Beaver.
Yeah, you should make that into like a song when you're doing one of your live streams with the voice changing thing.
I can.
Yeah,
Just put in
dude.
front of it.
I can.
Yes.
It's just, yeah. I read his book, and it's not to
Whose
like
book? Matt's book?
Anthony Kiedis, not to like minimize his life
Kiedis.
experience, but it read to me like, and then I did a bunch of heroin, and then I had a bunch of sex, and then I got clean, and then I did a bunch of heroin, and then I had a bunch of sex, and then I got clean, and it was just kind of like a repeat thing, but. Not to
Seems
minimize like, because I'm an alcoholic, not to minimize anyone with addiction issues, but like it really, I'm like, wow, it like back to the romanticizing things. It made it seem pretty fucking cool. It made his life seem pretty fucking cool. Like granted, he almost died all those times, and his friend died and stuff, and
Yeah.
he lost people along the way. But man, when I read that book, I'm just like, man, it would be pretty sick to just be having sex and doing drugs all the time.
Sex, drugs, and sobriety.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of old Kiedis and new Kiedis alike. And
Yes.
yeah, that's
Obviously, a lot of people are.
yeah.
You know, there's kids who don't even know any of those records of theirs that I still like. You know, they're like grew up with like Californication and On, and they're like, they have records before that. You know, they have. Wait, what's a record? You know,
Right. Kids born in 1998 and whatnot.
Yeah, the like of that.
What year was your child born, Nick?
2020, like a couple months into the pandemic.
That's wild.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank
Got a
you.
baby.
Sounds like he just woke up. Actually,
Uh-oh. Yeah.
he's a good interview.
If we probably should call this. I've been holding in this thing. I really gotta.
Jesus.
Because like
It's hurting my stomach at this point. Okay, real quick, Nick, while we got you on here, Well, we got you on here. Plug your record again.
Oh yeah. If anybody feels like caring, it's called elfNOISE. Is the band, and it's Fresh Fossils is the name of the record, and it's on the digital streamings at this point only. But most of them, I guess, is
We'll
where.
listen
So
to it.
Yeah.
whatever one you like, go look there. And it's on Bandcamp too. I put it up there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, cool.
elfNOISE, check it out. And
Yeah.
did you say your YouTube channel is still up with the mathematician stuff on it?
As far as I know, it's still up. I know like the Transdimensional Odyssey of Doom is up in chapters, which is like the live thing with the cartoons mixed in.
Oh yeah.
That's up
sweet.
there. That's pretty cool. That one's still up there. And there's a few other clips. I know Ian and Tim were talking about it for a while, and I know Ian had gotten on doing some relaunch of some footage, I think like tour montages and things like that. So I don't know how much is up. I haven't looked in a while, but it's on. There's definitely a mathematician's presence on the YouTubes and also on the streamers, I guess, too. It's
I was just listening to Level 1 this morning just to kind of get familiar again.
Yeah.
Four Eyes is so fun.
yeah, that was always a fun. That's like a real live song,
Oh yeah, that was I think because you guys used to have video on your website, which was like so far ahead of anybody back in 2005. Yeah. And I remember there's a video from that Den of Doom of you guys playing that. That was probably the first time I ever saw anything. And I don't know if that's up anywhere, but you should find a way to get that back on YouTube. That would be cool just to share.
Yeah. I mean, those guys were the tech for sure. Ian and Tim. And I think probably Tim even more was like the tech guy. Like he had the website, he built the first couple websites and like, that was mainly, and he was probably the main engineer, I guess, when we record and stuff. And Ian and Tim would usually mix all that stuff. Hi, buddy. Hi. This is Leon. Say hi.
Hey.
There's Neil and Ron and Rob.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
What's up?
He's
You want to
adorable.
come on up and say hi? Hi.
Hey.
This is Leon. He is definitely what I've been doing for
sure.
Not to sound weird, like in a Euphoria kind of reference sort of way.
No.
We should get him a mini clashing suit.
I know.
Do the whole thing.
He's way more stylish than me. Way more stylish than me. And he's a big cheerleader for whatever I'm into, you see. Got the pom-poms to prove it.
Gotta have a cheerleader.
He looks
in
well
this
rested
life.
after his nap.
Let's hope so. No, that's all right. Okay. Yeah, you want to offer them some pom-poms?
Pom-pom. Back. No, here's another circle. Screaming Simpson and the Pons. And
the pom-poms.
And the pom-poms. Pom-pom.
Bye-bye.
Full circle. So many circles.
I know. It's like that John Bonham symbol on the Led Zeppelin album.
Mr. Zeppelin. What does it all mean?
I don't know. It means if you really listen to the lyrics of Stairway to Heaven, you realize the music was the best part of that, man.
It's mysticism and metaphor or something.
And a lot of Tolkien.
Yeah. And what do you think of Greta Van Fleet? You a fan?
I checked them out. I mean, they're cool. I don't know. It didn't blow my bones, but they're good. But, it was kind of like the Strokes, except trying to be Led Zeppelin instead of trying to be like the Stooges or whatever everybody said the Ramones, whatever everybody said. I thought the Strokes were great, man. I thought that first record was fucking bomb. I still listen to that thing.
I like the Strokes. Hey, Ron, you know that Bobbins says his favorite band right now is the Strokes. I broke him into it.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, his favorite show is Survivor right now, and he used to always dog on that shit.
Bobbins come full circle. He went from being in a van with me, listening to the Strokes and being depressed, to actually enjoying their music.
What's his other band, Julian Casablancas?
The Voids.
Yeah, that shit's amazing.
I'm a huge Strokes fan. People think that's weird when I say it, but I like that band a lot. Yeah,
You like huge strokes? Is that what you're saying?
I like big, long strokes.
Yeah.
Stroke me,
Big
stroke
defense.
me, stroke, I think we had some good moments. This is the most involved with the most people that wasn't just passing around a mic. Like everyone has a separate input. Like, yeah. Hopefully when I do the audio, and I think this will be an entertaining watch for the human beings. Maybe. Who knows?
That was fun. Thank you for having me. I just was coming to hang out, and you said, "Hey, you want to come do this?" I said, "All right."
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it has made a warmer vibe of the whole thing. It's kind of like we're in the same room, but not.
It's pleasant.
I think if
2022.
If anything, the pandemic has kind of normalized a lot of this living on the internet shit back to the whole metaverse thing. I don't necessarily want to go to a DIY venue in the metaverse at this juncture, but you know, if my spine gives out and you know my arthritis, which I have mild arthritis, if it gets bad to the point where I can't actually go and mosh pit, I mean, maybe I could put on some sort of a VR helmet and
we'll rebuild the rock box in the metaverse.
Yeah.
We should do that.
That would be a great idea. Actually,
I'll be there.
You guys going to see Mathematicians in downtown Brown at the Rock Box in 2026 in the metaverse?
Hilarious.
Can you
Because
clear?
like 1 million people could go there, but you'd make it look like it was just 30.
Yeah.
You know, in a tool shed.
Would you be able?
a tool shed in
Which feels like a
nowhere
million.
howl.
Oh, it was so good.
Would
That
you
was-
be able to clear the room in the metaverse and the rock box with one single fart
Smell
though?
of vision.
Yeah, I wonder how my virtual flatulence, if it's going to be as powerful as it in real life, you know?
That was power,
that up.
baby.
Yeah, that
You
was
should be proud of that.
that was
actually.
that way. How do you say it, Ron?
Way.
Way.
Got that way everywhere.
Way. Ron, do you remember you used to go
Yeah.
Okay, there's an American Dad episode where Roger has a girlfriend that's also an alien.
Yeah, I know that one.
And Roger's girlfriend's name. So I was watching it with Allie, and she's a huge American Dad fan, and I'm like, oh my God, they named a character after Ron's
Well, I got it from
Spider-Man.
Kung Pao when she goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wee, 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 wee.
Oh,
Is there a radio
yeah,
show?
okay.
That shit's so good.
And then she'd
That
go,
movie.
okay,
Yeah.
that's where you got it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you used to do this thing where you could do like a Spider-Man kind of like web throwing thing.
Oh,
And you go,
yeah.
But it was Kung
I just
Pao.
threw
That was me quoting a movie.
Okay, you were just going,
Yeah. Quotes, bro.
it had nothing to do with slinging web.
No, what's a Spider-Man?
That's like going to be the new euphemism on TikTok.
Slinging web.
Slinging web instead of skeet or whatever.
Oh, I think that's already
good.
I think that's already a way to say
Is it?
yeah.
I mean,
I think
obviously.
something we have to look it up on Urban Dictionary, but I think slinging web is already a euphemism for skeet.
Damn it.
Maybe.
Makes sense. I mean,
And if it's not, we need to make it now.
this is the moment right here.
Be like a bunch of gentlemen reaching middle age talking about on an internet program,
Yeah.
holding in flatulence, making their insides hurt.
It's gonna be big, baby.
It's gonna be big, baby.
Gonna be big.
Yeah.
Well, hey Nick, thanks for being on the program. Thanks Rob, and
Thanks for having me.
thanks
Yeah.
Ron.
Thanks,
Good to
guys.
see you,
Good
Rob.
to see you guys.
Yeah, you too, Nick. That was super fun.
Ron said he was gonna leave after half an hour. He stayed here for 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah, I've been eating
Ron
today,
is a
so I was
trooper,
like,
man.
yo,
Ron
this is better than eating.
Ron is punishing his body with lack of calories to be a part of this.
I don't usually
Wait,
eat
yeah.
until around 6 anyway, so.
How many meals? How many meals a day do you eat?
I eat about 7 meals within that 1 hour.
About 6,500 calories.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Just a bunch of Butterfingers.
Just 16 Butterfingers
and a bag of Jolly Ranchers.
Oh, that's the combo. You know, I don't know. Did you guys? How do you feel? Okay, how do you feel about that? The idea of taking like the tangy fruit candy and then immediately eating like a peanut buttery chocolate candy too.
Ooh, that's
I like it.
I can't do that.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it makes me feel like worse than any hangover I've ever had.
Oh, for real? You can't mix those two, huh?
No, it's you know,
screws with your mind.
Some people can't smoke and drink, you know, but
it's weird.
I can't Jolly Ranch and Butterfinger, man.
That's crazy. Yeah, when I was a kid, Butterfing. When I was a kid, I was such an addict, like a sugar addict, that it didn't matter to me. Like Halloween time would come around, and it would be Skittles to Starburst to Butterfinger to Laffy Taffy. Like I just, but yeah,
danger.
Yeah, I mean, there's sugar's sugar. I just want it all, and I want one right after the other. Same thing with alcohol. People were like, if you drink wine then liquor, you're gonna get sick. And I would be like, I would just drink all of it, and no matter what order,
I'm sick.
Yeah, and then get sick. Ooh, so
yeah. Well, it's like if you drank 8, you know, glasses of whatever in a night, you probably could be pretty sick, you know, or you could drink 24 cans of whatever, and you know, it doesn't matter, like June Shine and all that weird stuff that's out now. I bet you're happy you don't drink anymore because there's so much gross alcohol in the market now that people are like, yeah, I think people need more Starburst flavored beer. I think that's what they need.
Well, back to the PB&J thing. My girlfriend bought wine that's like grape jelly and peanut butter flavored wine. And
was it next to the what do they call that shit? Boone's Farm, I guess.
I have no idea. She had a friend in town, and they bought it, and they're like, "This is fucking disgusting." And I just looked at it. But you know,
did they get chunky or creamy though?
It just looked like it was just purple, like wine, but
drink.
Yeah,
purple
but when I read the label, it said, and it tastes just like a peanut butter and jelly. I'm like, who wants that? That's
why would you want that?
That's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I could just eat that and then have like. You know, any other beverages besides that. The
one thing that I'm kind of bummed out about having quit alcohol in 2008 is I never got to really experience Four Loko, and the Four Loko that had immense amounts of alcohol and caffeine in it. Because
not missing.
Ron says not missing. But the closest thing I had to that was eating diet pills and then going to college parties when I was at Michigan State, because I was like pretty much on speed. And then I would drink like 25 keg beers. So I would say that was the closest thing to Four Loko. But to have it like taste like a Jolly Rancher, that's 8 Loko.
But Jolly Ranchers, bro, same effect.
What does it taste like?
Jolly Ranchers.
It tastes like Jolly Ranchers?
No, Four Loko. Oh man, I only had the watermelon one, I think, and it was at that potato festival we did with IGB. And it was like warm, and it just tasted like fermented pop. It tasted like fermented pop with alcohol. It was disgusting. It tasted like it was like, open, like for.
I just never got a chance, you know.
It's like if you poured a 40 and some grain alcohol into like the fruitiest Faygo you can find is kind of what I understand. Plus, then it would also have to have dexatrin in it or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Dexatrim, yes. So no one like really got blacked out on Four Loko in this conversation.
I think it might have. They say it skips a generation. So.
No, I went straight to the.
Yeah, I don't even think I ever had one.
No, they actually. I remember when I first started hearing about it. I was still living in New York, and I went and like I'd see it at the Cumberland Farms, you know, in the case or whatever. I'm like. Whatever, but like they banned it for about 3 years in New York or something.
Oh wow!
And I was like, shit, I should have got one, because if they banned it in New York State, you know,
must have been good.
Hardcore, dude. I mean, they were slow to get the weed legal, but everything else you can, you know, if you have a license for it, you can, as long as you pay taxes on it, you can get anything you want in New York.
So it must have
Even
been
for
really
them.
it must have been really fucked up if they banned it there, huh?
That's what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. New York's kind of conservative too, but like, yeah, they banned it, and I was like, oh, what? Like you banned a beverage? You know, that was in a store. It wasn't like they banned moonshine. You know what I mean? Like you can't make your own alcohol in your backyard and make your relatives go blind. You know what I mean? Like I understand the checks and balances in place there. But like this was like in a cooler in a store, in many stores, and then it would just disappeared. And then I heard something, I don't know, I think it was like the College Station that I listened to back there that was like, yeah, you can't get no Four Loko no more. I'll tell you why. News at 11.
Weird.
Yeah, it was
Kill
like
kids.
I don't know. Anyway, I still to this day haven't had it. They brought it back with like a lower octane formula, I
Yeah.
guess, is what happened.
Without the caffeine, I think.
Boring.
Yeah, you know. I'm just like, what about those like YouTube video, like those challenges, you know, and there's like back when YouTube was becoming the home of challenges of it. And I don't know why you call it a challenge. It's like, you're the only one making you do this, but, you know, and it's like, I'm going to drink 18 Red Bulls. And it's like some guy who weighs like 260 pounds and has, you know, like gym shoes on that have never seen the floor of a gymnasium. And he's just like, I'm going to drink 22 Red Bulls right now. And then he has a heart attack halfway through. And you're like, yeah. And this is surprising. Why? Yet it's still on YouTube somehow. I don't know. God bless the internet.
That
you
shit
know?
made it over to TikTok. There's that type of behavior happening. It's a good time.
It's huge. I don't know. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of that shit. I see it like it infiltrates YouTube, I guess. Is like I'll be like watching something, I'm like, what's this garbage? And like it has a TikTok logo on the bottom. Like,
Yep, same here.
oh, that's what it is. It's a lot of people dancing together is all I see. And then like people like using the same sounds for things that they don't really apply to. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a bunch of like really creative, weird, fun creators. I mean, it's like any big platform, like just like YouTube. Like if you can find really great
Just gotta
video
look for it.
essays and all types of content that is really educational, and
Yeah,
there's really creative stuff on there. But TikTok, like what you see on the surface is it. Yeah, it raises eyebrows. It makes you wonder if the kids are okay. But there's like with this podcast, I've met so many people through using that app that I've found to be like very intelligent and they make really cool creative content. It's these little bites. It's like little 15-second to 3-minute bites of these tiny little videos, and everyone has such a short attention span these days that it's very digestible shit. I don't know if it necessarily is good for anyone's attention span because you have to like talk really fast if you want to say anything, or you just dance to some sound.
It's like a certain dialect for TikTok. It seems like everybody speaks the same way. It seems I haven't watched a bunch, but the videos that do make its way to YouTube, and like because you got to talk as fast. I guess. I was just like, oh,
Micro machines.
TikTok.
There's this thing with the peach colored Yoda. I don't know, and then like the doorbell rings. And this is something I've seen recently, like how the radio on, and it's like ding dong. He goes in the background, and it's like the thing looks around and like I don't fucking get it. You know, like
I haven't seen that one.
There's like a billion. It's like one of the meme kind of things, I guess. Like it's just like everybody has their version of it.
Yeah,
this is why I hate TikTok. Is like this doesn't even like it's not even funny really. Let alone does it. I mean, I can say that it probably makes sense to people who are following whatever that came from, and they're like, "Oh, it's from Harry Potter or some shit." And
oh,
like,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's the little wizard, the naked pink
elf or something.
little alien from Harry Potter. Yeah. Well, there are things that get memed into oblivion, and they just get copied like millions of times. That's why if a song, if a song gets popular on the platform,
right,
it can actually like create giant streaming numbers on streaming platforms and stuff because it's like these little earworms get caught in your head, just like some of the memes, like the little naked elf alien from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But there are people there are people that are doing all types of different stuff on there. It's just like you have to
search for it.
It's kind of scary though. It's like when I first got on, I'm like, this is so stupid. But then a year later, it was a pandemic, and I'm just like, I'm gonna start making a bunch of fucking videos and now I got these balloons. See my balloons?
Where's the balloon? Oh,
Balloons?
yeah.
Oh, behind you. Did you hit
Allie got
10,000
me
views?
Allie got me a 10K set of balloons as a joke because I hit 10K followers on TikTok, which in the scheme of things isn't shit.
Congrats, though.
But
No,
she's
that's
like,
cool.
I'm going to get you those influencer bragging balloons. And now I have them.
I think they're kind of cool.
I just like that Ron's sitting next to him. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, me and the
I
10K.
think
I'm about
You're
to
like
run.
10,000, man. You're 10,000, man.
It doesn't mean anything though, because ever since I hit 10K, my videos have been performing very poorly. I don't know what it is, dude.
I think it's because people remembered that the outside exists again. Like
Maybe, yeah.
That's
you don't
actually
have to
probably
wear
a
like
good
a
point.
spacesuit, you know? They're like, I could go outside and talk to somebody without, rubbing alcohol.
Four
afterwards,
Loko.
For logo.
Four Loco. That's probably
GMO
that's where all that
Loco.
sanitizer came
GMO
from,
Loco. Corn Loco. Corn Loco.
Yes.
All right, hey, let's end it at Corn Loco. What do you say?
Sure.
All
Well,
right.
thanks, Neil.
Hey, thanks for being on here and telling us about mathematicians and making us laugh and otherwise, dude.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Thanks, Ron.
Good to see all of you
Thanks,
guys, all five of
everybody.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rob. Sup?
Thanks, buddy.
No, it was super fun.
And okay, so next time I'm in LA. Are you still in the Venice area, Nick?
We moved, but we're not far. We're like still West LA. So yeah, hit me up if you're in town again, man, for sure.
Cool. Let's all connect at some point. And you too, Rob. Get your ass out to Madison Heights.
Yeah, I'll make the trip. I just didn't want to go anywhere today.
Yeah, no, it started snowing. It's supposed to be spring, but
It's supposed to be.
It is
Yeah, we had
snowing
2 inches
again.
of snow this morning, and then it was like gone by like 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Woohoo.
Well,
best of both worlds.
well, we did it. I told everyone that I wasn't doing long podcasts anymore, and we went 2.5 hours, so we did it.
Got him.
Got
Oh,
him.
Do what's natural, man. Don't worry
Yeah.
what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just, I want what I do to be digestible and not like seem like a task.
Well, I think we all had fun. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Who cares?
yeah.
We had
At that
fun.
point, you just cut it how you want. Like, don't try to make any of us look too stupid.
Corn Loco.
Corn.
Corn Loco.
Mm.
All right, bros. Well, hey, I love all you guys, and
Love you, bud. Love you guys.
Yeah.
we'll see
Love you
you.
too. Love you too, guys. It's good to talk.
Yeah, it's great to talk. Let's do it again. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Later, dudes.
Rock
Bye,
and roll
guys.
forever. Fucking Led Zeppelin.
Corn loco.
Hit the button.
Corn Loco.
Corn
Yeah.
Loco.
Mm.
All right, later, dudes.
There, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
See you.
Hit that
See you.
button. Hit that redness.
There it is.
Thanks,
Oh.
Nick. See you soon, bud. We did it. Hey, do you like this video? Do you want to see more stuff like it? Well, consider being a patron of my Patreon page, patreon.com/Neil P. If you pledge monthly, you get some perks, you get some exclusive content, and you get to help stuff like this get made on the monthly. Yo, check it out.